Chapter 201. The Death of Danzo. Danzo fell to the ground. His life was passing by quickly, listening to Sasuke's post-war remarks in the attitude of a winner. But he was extremely annoyed. I think I have followed the second generation all my life until now. It can be said that there have been countless battles, but I didn't expect that I was accidentally planted in the hands of the kid. But I can't die yet. There are still many things that have not been completed. I must not die here. Quote. As Sasuke was talking, Danzo, who had fallen to the ground, slowly got up. The blood from the wound had spread unscrupulously throughout Danzo's body. Oh. When you decided to kill the Uchiha clan, did you ever? I thought about what will happen now, Danzo. The traitor of Konoha, the remnant of Uchiha, the stain of Itachi, don't get carried away here. Danzo said staggeringly, clutching his chest, from being too weak to speak to hysterical roar. During the roar, the ragged right arm and the pale shoulder suddenly wriggled rapidly, and a sapling appeared in a short while, and then it grew into a towering tree in an instant, which was rapidly consuming the already in Danzo's body. Pretty thin chakra. The injury is so serious that it has reached the point where it can no longer suppress the first-generation cells. No way. If it goes on like this, it will be swallowed up by the power of the first-generation. Danzo decisively cut off his right arm and stared at it. Sasuke had a look of determination in his eyes. And, Izanagi, and Nani, and, Sasuke was shocked when he heard Danzo gritted his teeth. Obviously, during the battle, Sasuke was more concerned about the number of eyes on Danzo's right arm than Danzo himself, and even directly used illusions to make Danzo misjudge the number of effective writing wheel eyes. How could he still use Izanagi? And when Sasuke was shocked, Danzo was very remorseful. The ninjutsu that was originally reserved for Uchiha Chen was actually forced. When Danzo was distressed, the writing wheel eye that captured Zishui also slowly closed, forever lost the light. Danzo knew in his heart that the transplanted Zishui's writing wheel eye was fundamentally different from the writing wheel eye on his right arm, and that it could not be restored to light through the first-generation wood attribute chakra. That is to say, this eye was useless. However, Sasuke was exhausted at the moment, and it was extremely reluctant to even support himself to stand. Looking at Danzo, who had disappeared in front of him with bloodstains, his heart that had just let go was resuspended. I have to say that you are proud of being able to drive the old man into such a dreadful situation, but the contest of eyes that you mentioned, after all, the old man won. Danzang, who was standing in another place again, used the only remaining one. Staring at the weak Sasuke, he said slowly. Wow. Sasuke, who had just held back his injury, vomited out a mouthful of blood at this moment, and the blood left over from the overused shaker was even more shocking. Have you reached the limit? It seems that the Uchiha family will eventually be buried in the hands of this old man, not only you, but also Uchiha Chen. Danzo made a seal with his hands as he spoke. Wind done, vacuum jade. Several high-pressure air bullets spewed out of Danzo Ecstasy's lips and shot at Sasuke. Danzo looked at Sasuke, who could no longer support his own weight, as if he were looking at a dead man. Bang bang bang. Several air bombs blasted on Sasuke and the surrounding ground not far away, and the powerful destructive force shook up a lot of dust. In Danzo's eyes, Sasuke, who disappeared into the dust, has become a corpse. Even if you have the name of a genius, but, after all, you're just a fool who thinks you're a genius, Itachi. The stains in your life, this old man has already cleared you up. Have you realized how naive you were? Your brother's eyes, I will take it. Danzo gasped as he looked at the dust in front of him, as if he was telling Itachi, and at the same time he was mumbling to himself. However, Danzo's inner drama did not last long. In the dust that was not far away, a vague figure slowly appeared, with the right hand holding the sharp blade around his waist. The figure on the opposite side is clearer. Who is Sasuke, who just thought he was dead? Impossible. Danzo roared almost hoarsely. Danzo can clearly feel that although Sasuke at the moment is extremely weak, he is more fierce than just now. If we talk about Sasuke before, although Danzo has some contempt, but now Sasuke is in front of him, but he has a serious problem. The deterrent of panic. What the hell is going on? A breeze blows and the dust dissipates. It wasn't just Sasuke who appeared in front of Danzo, along with Sasuke who showed his stature, and Susanoo, who had almost turned into a substance, was facing him with that cold ancient Tianma bow at the moment. At this moment, Danzo's heart was full of turbulent waves. He didn't care to think about the reason. After turning around, he dragged his steps to escape. I definitely can't die here. Up to this point, you still want to live, go and bury the Uchiha family, die. Along with Sasuke's roar, the arrows on the ancient Tianma bow echoed. Wow! Danzo looked down at the arrow that pierced through his chest, turned around and forgot about Sasuke, and fell to the ground in unwillingness. No, impossible. You haven't already. Danzo had realized at this moment that he could not survive, but how could he be reconciled to such an obscure death? So even though his mouth was full of blood, he's still vaguely suspicious. Have you reached the limit? That's your self-righteousness. Don't you know that there are such things as military ration pills in this world? Sasuke seemed a little disdainful of Danzo's doubts. Bing Liang pills. Impossible. How could Bing Liang pills make you recover so quickly, you? Poof .. Danzang didn't take a breath, his chest hurt, and another mouthful of blood spurted out. Bing food pills are indeed impossible, but this thing is possible. Sasuke said and raised his right hand, and what he was holding in his hand was a small transparent bottle, but what was inside the bottle seemed to be a kind of light blue liquid. This is... Danzo's vision gradually blurred, and death had already begun to devour the remaining vitality in his body. Pulse. After listening to Sasuke's explanation, Danzo didn't understand what the pulse was, so he was exhausted and returned to the west. Chapter 202, Sasuke's Crisis. Danzang died, among the assistants of Uchiha, whom he called remnants and who had always looked down on him. During his lifetime, he calculated the Uchiha clan and his coveting of Sharingan, which caused the Uchiha clan to be exterminated, but now he died in the hands of Uchiha Sasuke, which can be regarded as karma. All his ambitions, also vanished with his death. As said before, he is a man who goes unnoticed, he is a man who is spurned, he is a man with blood on his hands, he is a man who hides in the roots under the leaves, he a man who seeks light in the dark. He is a group. In the definition of good and bad, maybe he is a bad guy. His hands are covered with blood, his arms are full of sinful records, his right eye is full of Shishui's unwillingness, he is an abominable butcher. The light never manifested in him, he was a symbol of blood and slaughter. He is a person behind the scenes, in the place where the light can't shine, he turns into a strong foundation, supporting Konoha. The tree has no roots, where does it come from? Leaves. For peace, for Konoha, he killed many people. He killed those who should be killed and those who should not be killed. There is no way to judge whether what he has done is right or wrong, because everything has become a reality and cannot be restarted from scratch. It can only be said that he did it, and Konoha is growing up healthy. Subjective evaluation does not apply to him, or rather, he does not need evaluation. He has been walking his own way. He has been working hard for peace and justice, for the light in the darkness. This time, Danzo was finally dead, and the Sharingan implanted on his arm could no longer perform Izanagi for him. He had been calculating all his life, and his desire for power made him do many wrong things. However, he was silently dedicating his life to Konoha. It seems that he finally made Hokage, but he said, "I didn't expect that in the end, I still couldn't be Hokage." Why would you say so? Perhaps, he feels that he has not really contributed to Konoha, has not been recognized by the people in the village, and has not dedicated his last years. His heart is still for Konoha. You are the leaves in the sun, and I am the root in the dark. Shimura Danzo. At this time, Sasuke, after confirming that Danzo was dead, released Susanoo's state, and he couldn't help but feel relieved. The difficulty of Danzo was beyond his expectations. Fortunately, he had obtained information about Danzo from Chen before that, and had some understanding of his abilities. Moreover, among the members of the Eagle Squad, Chen also served them for them. Each person prepared a bottle of medicine synthesized from the stone of Geralt just in case. He thought he would not use it, but in the end, Danzo gave up the water-stopping kaleidoscope writing wheel eye and made a desperate fight. And he had indeed reached the limit at that time, whether it was chakra or physical strength. At the last moment, he could only be invincible after drinking the potion and recovering the chakra. Although Geralt's potion can no longer improve their own strength, the power contained in the potion is already vitality, but it can allow them to recover their injuries and chakra in a short period of time, which is countless times stronger than the effect of military food pills. Can play a life-saving role at a critical moment, so Chen will let each of them bring a bottle in case of emergency. Hey, I didn't expect to be rescued by this thing in the end. Sasuke looked at Danzo's dilapidated corpse, and felt a strange feeling in his heart, and he couldn't help showing a sneer on his face, and said softly, "So far the feeling that I have never felt before, the feeling that the defiled Uchiha has been purified, the feeling that Uchiha is detached from this rotten ninja world. Forget it, since Danzo is dead, it is time to leave here, but that guy it seems that there is no way to do what was explained." As for what the guy said about what he said was that Chen let him collect Danzo's right arm and Danzo's right eye. However, after the battle just now, Danzo's right arm went berserk because he couldn't suppress the cells of the first Hokage. In order to save his life, he had to give up his right arm. At this time, Danzo's right arm has become a towering tree. It is impossible to take it away. As for Danzo's right eye, Sasuke also understands at this time. Come here, Danzo's last Izanagi just now was at the expense of his right eye, so the kaleidoscope writing wheel eye in Danzo's right eye is also worthless, and Sasuke is naturally too lazy to collect it. The effect of the potion is very fast. In just a few breaths, Sasuke's injuries are completely healed, and even chakra has returned to its heyday. Except for the clothes on his body, he is a little embarrassed, and he can't see the weak look just now. Let's meet up with that guy first, but before that, let's get rid of those troubles. Sasuke looked at the root ninja who was fighting against Suzuki and Shigego, with murderous intent in his eyes. However, just as Sasuke took a few steps, he suddenly felt a trance, and then he felt a sting in his eyes, which made Sasuke cover his eyes with his hands involuntarily. After the sting, Sasuke felt that his sight had changed. Blurred, there has never been a phenomenon that surprised Sasuke. Damn, my vision became blurred. Is it the sequelae of my overuse of pupil power? Could it be? Sasuke thought of what Chen had said to him. Excessive use of the kaleidoscope's ability to write round eyes will cause the kaleidoscope's vision to decline until it loses its light. Isn't the current symptoms just as Jin Chen said? No, impossible. How could it be possible to make my eyes blind? Absolutely impossible. That guy Chen has been fighting with kaleidoscope pupils all the time. He is not blind. There must be some way to cure my symptoms. I have to hurry up to that guy and see what he can do. This is indeed a big blow to Sasuke. Not to mention that he can no longer use the ability of the kaleidoscope to fight. Sasuke cannot accept the loss of light in his eyes alone. Now he just wants to run to Chen's side and ask what should he do. For so long, Sasuke has long been used to taking Chen as his backbone, but now that his eyes are in crisis, he subconsciously thinks of Chen. Not daring to delay, Sasuke shook his head and got rid of all the distracting thoughts in his mind. Holding the grass pheasant sword, after filling it with Lei Dun chakra, he suddenly attacked the remaining members at the root. Chapter 203, Shocked Konoha. The battle between Sasuke and Danzo is finally over. At the moment when both sides almost reached their limit, Sasuke got the pulse from Zichen. And Xianglin, who has been hiding in the dark, has been focusing on Sasuke. When he saw Sasuke being counterattacked by Danzo at the last moment, his heart was in his throat, and he wanted to set off to save Sasuke, but after seeing Sasuke take out the pulse, she resisted the urge. In the end, Sasuke who drank the pulse did not disappoint her. Danzo was solved in an instant, and Xianglin also came out of the dark. Rushed to Sasuke's side, and asked with concern, "Sasuke, are you alright?" In the fierce battle, Shigego and Suzuki heard Shunglin's shout and looked in the direction of Shunglin's line of sight. It was Sasuke. Although Sasuke at the moment looked rather embarrassed, he was not in good health. No visible scars either. The Anbu people noticed the abnormality of the three, and followed their line of sight, only to see a young man dressed in white, holding a grass pheasant sword standing in the distance, who was not Sasuke. That's Betrayal Uchiha Sasuke, Danzo-sama. Isn't it possible? How could Danzo-sama lose to this traitor? The three of Shigego directly ignored the comments of the Anbu people, and each jumped out of the crowd and returned to both sides of Sasuke. Danzo, he's already dead. If you still want to stop me, then come. Sasuke looked indifferently at the group of people in front of him and waited, and the surrounding of his body slowly transformed into a vague figure of Susa. Just seeing Sasuke's current situation, Susa around him seems to be instantly transformed into reality at any time. The curse mark on my body has been removed. Could it be that what he said is true? Nani? No way, how could Danzo-sama lose to this traitor? This matter is of great importance. Hurry up and inform the two advisors, the current situation is beyond our control. Quick, let's get out of here first and join the people outside. The noisy voice followed Sasuke's words, and instantly swayed through the whole Anbu iron. Shock and disbelief filled the hearts of every Anbu member, and with the words of retreat that followed, everyone in Anbu seemed to find it. With a much-needed reason for retreat, each of them used their own means to quickly evacuate, meeting with the large army of ninjas in Konoha village. Just now, they had tried their best to surround and kill Shueyu and Shigego, but they could not take them both. Now, with the addition of Sasuke Uchiha, who may have killed Danzo, they couldn't stop Sasuke and the others. Zhang didn't show up, and they lost their backbone, so they should retreat temporarily, wait until the street order is reordered, and then prepare to come and kill Sasuke and the others. Sasuke looked at Sasuke, who came to stand beside him without any serious problems. Shunglin pushed the glasses and stuck them on again. Danzo has been dealt with by me, now go and meet Chen. Danzo's death can shock the roots for a while, and it will be a lot of trouble for us to wait for them to reunite. Let's get out of here first. Sasuke relieved after reading Susanoo, he touched his forehead with his right hand and said slowly. Sasuke calmed down, and when he looked forward again, he found that his vision became even more blurred. Damn! Sasuke was so anxious that he blinded him, it would be better to kill him directly. Without further delay, he took Shueyu and others towards Chen's direction, and now he just wants to get to Chen's side as soon as possible. After Sasuke and others left, the huge base at the root became empty, leaving Danzo's body lying alone in the base. His men did not even come to collect the body and then evacuated. On the other side of the battlefield, a tailed beast Jade of the Nine Tails, the ability to destroy the world and the earth, was displayed in front of everyone in Konoha. Konoha's ninjas seemed to be shocked, and looked at the village that had been divided into two dully. Muttering to himself, unable to believe what he saw, a strange scene appeared on the entire battlefield. For a while, quietly, no one dared to make a sound. The village. The village. Why is this? The village was divided. Although the target of the nine-tailed beast cannon was not aimed at Konoha's ninjas, their location was within the orbit of the tailed beast cannon. When the nine-tailed beast cannon was ejected, although they had already avoided it, they underestimated the power and speed of the tailed beast cannon. Some ninjas who could not dodge were swallowed directly by the tailed beast cannon, and some who responded slowly were seriously injured by the impact of the tailed beast cannon and lost their ability to move for a while. The Konoha ninjas looked embarrassed under this big move of the Nine Tails. Master Tsunade, are you alright? An Anbu member was the first to dodge the moment the tail beast cannon was fired, but the impact of the tail beast cannon made him very embarrassed, and his whole body was covered in stains. After removing the dust, he immediately came to Tsunade's side as an escort after the turmoil of the tail beast cannon. At this time, Tsunade ignored the Anbu, was kneeling on the ground, staring blankly at the destroyed village, his expression sluggish, and finally woke up with an extremely angry expression on his face, and shouted in the direction of Chen. said, "Unforgivable, unforgivable, Uchiha Chen." Tsunade stretched out his thumb, stained a little blood on the wound where he had just smashed the corner of his mouth, and quickly formed a seal. The art of psychic. Boom. A puff of smoke emerged out of thin air, followed by a giant blue and white slug. Lord Tsunade, it seems that the village is facing a crisis. As soon as the slug appeared, it first saw Tsunade, and then noticed the surrounding environment, and couldn't help but say, "It's just surprising that such a behemoth's voice is as gentle as a woman's." "Stop talking, you immediately follow all the ninjas in Konoha, and then use my chakra to heal everyone." Tsunade didn't talk nonsense, and gave the order directly to Slug. "Everyone, Tsunade-sama, your chakra. Do you intend to stop talking nonsense and go?" "I see." The slug also knew that the situation was urgent, and didn't say anything. The body squirmed for a while, and then the huge body turned into small slugs that were dozens of times smaller, and squirmed towards the injured ninja in Konoha village. After the slug's action, Tsunade closed her eyes first, and then opened them suddenly. Her aura changed, and the 100 house seal on her forehead disappeared at this moment. Seeing this, the Anbu secretly said in surprise, "The 100 hood seal on his forehead suddenly disappeared. He has released the technique of creation and regeneration and distributed the chakra to the slug-sama, in order to protect the ninjas in the village." Ignoring the panic of that Anbu, Tsunade struggled to stand up from the ground and walked slowly towards Chen, with endless anger in his eyes, vowing to tear the enemy in front of him to pieces. And Chen, facing Tsunade who was already furious, didn't feel nervous at all, still had a playful sneer on his face. Looking at Tsunade who was walking towards him step by step, he didn't take the lead in attacking. Chapter 104, Naruto's Spiral Maru Shuriken. On the Konoha battlefield, Tsunade was walking in front of Chen step by step, and Anbu, as Hokage's guard, naturally followed closely behind. Those Konoha ninjas who were shocked by the tail beast cannon also came back to their senses. Gathered behind Tsunade, staring angrily at the culprit who caused the tragedy of the village in front of him. They gritted their teeth one by one, wishing to tear apart the intruders in front of them and swallow them alive. "I am the 5th Hokage of Konoha. You who have ravaged the treasures and dreams of our ancestors are absolutely unforgivable, Uchiha Chen." Tsunade walked in front of Chen, glared at Chen, and then roared at Chen. "I want to make a break with you here in the name of Hokage." "Hey, make a break. This is exactly what I want." Konoha village was originally founded by the Uchiha clan and the Chinsho clan. Now that I have divided the village into two, it really fits the situation, but it's not enough. I want to destroy this rotten village that has brought shame to our Uchiha clan. Do you want to make a break with me? Come on. The two sides are already on the same level, and it is impossible to ease any further. As soon as Chen's voice fell, Konoha's people started to act. Just as they were about to attack Chen, the 9 tails under Chen's feet also raised their front paws, wanting to shred the ants in front of you. At this moment, a voice came from a place not far away. Would escape Thorn's killing technique. Just after hearing that voice fell, a few vines suddenly emerged from the ground under Juwei's feet, and wrapped around Juwei at a very fast speed, first the feet, then the body, and then the 2 front claws. In the end, even the neck was wrapped around the wooden stick. Before everyone had recovered, the huge 9-tailed uniform had already limited the ability of the 9 tails to move. It should look like this. 9 tails was entangled by the wooden stick and desperately wanted to get rid of it, but the unimaginable tenacity of the wooden stick made it unable to get rid of it, so it could only let out an unwilling roar and glared at the 2 ninjas not far away. Seeing that Juwei was actually trapped by Mu-dun, Chen was stunned for a moment, then showed a clear expression, and said with a sneer, "Mu-dun. It should be that guy from Yamato Tianzang. But, just relying on do you want to trap the 9 tails with this level of wooden dug? It's so naive." Chen looked in the direction of the voice just now, and as expected, he found that Yamato, who had met him once in the stronghold of Orochimaru, was standing there, his hands still holding the handprint of activating the wooden escape, staring solemnly at the 9 tails. It seems that the struggle of the Nine Tails caused a lot of pressure on him, and standing beside him, it turned out to be Konoha's nine-tailed man Zuli, Uzumaki Naruto. Yamato's mutton not only surprised Chen, but even the ninjas of Konoha village were surprised by this sudden scene. "It's Yamato, isn't that guy practicing with Naruto? Since he's here, what about Naruto?" Kakashi immediately thought of Yamato when he saw Mudun, and hurriedly searched for Yamato's figure. And finally found him, but there seemed to be a familiar figure standing beside Yamato. "Is even Naruto here?" "Well, Naruto has improved a lot after training for this period of time. He is also a member of Konoha. Let him contribute to Konoha. We with so many people here, coupled with Yamato's Mudun, it's even more powerful to deal with the Nine Tails, and we will definitely be able to defend the village." Quote. At this time, Yamato Tianzang was not as easy as Kakashi imagined. After using the wooden dun to trap the Nine Tails unexpectedly, the resistance of the Nine Tails exceeded his imagination, and it seemed that he could break free at any time. In order to provide opportunities for the ninjas in his village, he can only output chakra desperately to maintain the wood that was loose under the struggle of the Nine Tails. Naruto next to him shouted, "Naruto, hurry up. Captain Yamato, I know, I'll be fine soon." Although he was very puzzled by the Nine Tails in front of him, Naruto had no time to figure out the situation. Now the situation is urgent. The most important thing is to solve the Nine Tails first. The two seem to have a plan in advance. After Yamato shouted, Naruto immediately began to act, first separated two shadow clones, and then began to condense a spiral pill in the hand of one shadow clone, and then added Naruto's own wind chakra, a white shuriken spinning at a high speed, in Naruto. The human shadow avatar gradually takes shape in the hands. "Yoshi, let you taste my new ninjutsu, the wind escape spiral pill shuriken." After the spiral pill shuriken was formed, Naruto shouted, and then he and another shadow avatar left and right, pulled the shadow avatar holding the spiral pill shuriken, and ran quickly in the direction of the Nine Tails. Getting closer and closer, Naruto and the shadow clone exerted force at the same time after approaching Kuohwei for a certain distance, and threw the shadow clone in the middle holding the spiral Maru shuriken towards Kuohwei's head. The current Naruto has not practiced the immortal mode, and the spiral pill shuriken he developed has just been learned, and it is the first time to use it, and it cannot be thrown directly at the target, so he can only use this method. Attack the huge Nine Tails. However, the size of the Nine Tails is too large, and at this time, the person is still standing, and the height of the head is still at an altitude of tens of meters. When the shadow clone of Naruto flew to the Nine Tails, it was exhausted. Castration. In the end, the spiral Maru shuriken just attacked Kuo's stomach. Boom. With a loud bang, a dazzling light suddenly flashed from Kuiwei's stomach injury, and the spiral pill shuriken exploded on Kuiwei's stomach, forming a burst of wind, like countless small sharp blades, constantly attacking. Holding on to the Nine Tails felt the pain and let out an extremely angry roar. And the people of Konoha were also shocked by the scene in front of them. They didn't expect things to change so quickly. The Nine Tails, who had been invincible before and had crushed them, were trapped and lost their ability to move. Immediately after, they were subjected to this amazingly powerful ninjutsu, which shocked everyone present. After the surprise, they were ecstatic. The scene in front of them undoubtedly made them feel excited. Now it seems that the Nine Tails are not invincible. When Naruto's clone flew to the Nine Tails just now, Kakashi naturally saw it too. After seeing the power of the spiral Maru shuriken, he was surprised and a little more relieved, and said in his heart, This is it, Naruto's new ninjutsu. The number of attacks can't be counted, and even the writing wheel can't see through it, so strong. Naruto, you succeeded. Tsunade naturally wouldn't let go of the opportunity in front of him, and immediately shouted at the surrounding ninjas. Everyone, don't let the Nine Tails get a chance to breathe, and attack the Nine Tails with all their strength now. Yes. In Tsunade's shouts, everyone in Konoha also responded. Their momentum skyrocketed, and they all displayed their best ninjutsu, constantly attacking Nine Tails, and each ninjutsu exploded on Nine Tails. Come, and the Nine Tails can only let out a roar of unwillingness and rage. Chapter 205, The Difficulty of the Beast. The summer night sky is full of stars, cool breezes, and green shadows rustling. The leaves all over the sky outline a graceful curve with the storm. Under the leaves dancing in the wind, Konoha Village, which was divided into two halves by the tailed beast cannon, looked particularly bright in the moonlight, running through the ruins of Konoha, like a sharp blade, tearing apart everyone in Konoha Village's heart. Under the command of Tsunade, Konoha Zongnan almost poured out his chakra to express his hatred for the enemy. Almost at the same time that Naruto's wind-escaped spiral pill shuriken hit the nine-tailed demon fox, the sky-filled ninjutsu burst open on the nine-tailed body, accompanied by the cries of Tsunade, and the dust swayed by the violent airflow, almost filled the whole sky, and Konoha and the other ninjas covered their heads to resist the approaching wind pressure. When I was young, the storm slowed down a little, and the cool breeze blew away the dust. Everyone in Konoha removed their hands one by one, staring at the direction of the nine tails bound by the wooden dun, with unconcealed joy in their eyes, gathering the strength of the whole village. Even if it was a nine-tailed demon fox, presumably he won't be safe either, but after this thought existed for a while, it disappeared. The nine-tailed demon fox that reappeared in the eyes of everyone was lying on the ground like a real fox, grinning and revealing its fangs. His eyes were full of violence, with a trace of disdain, as if he was laughing at Konoha. The futile efforts of the ninjas were just average. Under such a concentrated fire, the nine tails did not suffer any damage except for being a little embarrassed. This all stemmed from the gray-white substance covered by the nine tails' body. This is a condensed chakra full of evil aura, which spread from the head of the nine tails to its chest. In the terrified eyes of the Konoha ninjas, the chakra gradually spread to the nine tails. The whole body, first the upper body, then the body, the back half, and finally even the nine tails are completely covered by this chakra, leaving no gaps. From a distance, it looks like the nine-tailed demon fox is wearing a pair of gray-white armor generally. This is exactly the scene in the original book, when Madame Madara and the first Hokage duel, the difficulty of the beast. Relying on Susanoo's perverted defensive ability, coupled with the nine tails' own agility and strength, the combination of attack and defense is simply hopeless. With such a combination, destroying any one of the five kingdoms is almost impossible. It's a snap. Humph. Today, let me recreate Madara's style back then. Tatsu, who was standing on the head of the nine tails wrapped in Susanoo's armor, felt extremely excited at this moment. In his previous life, he had seen the scene where Madame Madara performed the hardship of the beast in the first Hokage. He felt that this technique was extremely appealing and made him envious. He always hoped that he could control the hardship of the beast himself. During the battle, when Konoha's ninjas set fire to the nine tails just now, Chen didn't even think about it, and directly cast the difficulty of the beast. Different from Chen's excited mood, at this time, the ninja of Konoha's side, seeing this scene again, the mood that was originally excited by Yamato's Mudden and Naruto's Spiral Maru Shuriken, fell to the bottom in an instant. Facing the more powerful nine tails than before, they couldn't help but feel a sense of despair in their hearts. In the face of such a monster, did they still have a chance of winning? This is the tribulation of the beast. This is the tribulation of the beast. The tribulation of the beast that applies the power of Susanoo to the tailed beast. Rumor has it that Madara Uchiha used the ninjutsu when he dueled with the first generation. I didn't expect it. I can actually see it with my own eyes. It's really hard to imagine how the first generation of that year broke such a technique. These words echoed in the hearts of the ninjas in Konoha village with a little experience. Standing beside Juwei, Chen indifferently ignored everyone's shock. For him, the opponent's shock was already commonplace in his resume. Now all he thinks in his mind is how to make Konoha pay for the extermination of the Uchiha family. As the Spiral Maru Shuriken. Hehe. Naruto, it seems that you have made a lot of progress, but it seems that the Spiral Maru Shuriken has not been fully mastered, so let you try my Spiral Maru Shuriken. With a mocking smile on Chen's face, he glanced in the direction of Naruto. He was naturally familiar with the ninjutsu Naruto performed just now, but the power was beyond his expectations, not too strong. Yes, but it's too weak, and it's incomparable to Naruto's late spiral Maru Shuriken. I saw Chen's voice just fell, and he spread his hands, hooked his fingers, and suddenly a chakra condensed in his hands. After a while, the chakra in the spiral pill became very violent, and the white spiral pill was also slow. It slowed down to a deep red, and it seemed that the deep red inside the spiral pill was about to overflow at any time. How is that possible? To actually inject both wind and fire chakra into the spiral pill at the same time, or 2. I don't know if it was the perceptual ninja, who suddenly shouted such a sentence. And Naruto himself was stunned. He was naturally very clear about the ninjutsu in Chen's hands. He has been doing this ninjutsu all these days. Until now, he has only mastered a little bit. He didn't expect Chen to use it so easily. It came out, and there were still 2. What's more important is that the spiral pill shuriken in Chen's hand actually added Huodun's chakra on the basis of Feng Dun. The 2 kinds of chakra mixed together did not go berserk, but made the spiral pill hand. Lijian's power is even stronger. At this time, Naruto had already recognized that the enemy standing on Kyuubi was the first friend he knew when he was a child, Uchiha Chen, and his former friend Junjin became the enemy who attacked Konoha. He was really indescribable. The current mood, but the current state of affairs did not allow him to question Chen, because Chen's attack was coming. How can it be? Damn it. Everyone pulls away and retreats first. Seeing the spiral pill shuriken in Chen's hand, Tsunade's heart sank, and with an ominous premonition, he immediately moved towards the surrounding wood. The leaf ninjas reminded. HMPH. Do you think it's safe to keep a distance? My spiral Maru Shuriken is different from Naruto's. Chen Yan said with a smile. The spiral Maru Shuriken in his hand was suddenly thrown in the direction of Konoha, because it can be thrown. Chapter 206. The Pain of Konoha. Under the terrified eyes of everyone in Konoha, the 2 spiral pills shuriken in Chen's hands were thrown at them. The violent spiral Maru Shuriken has gradually grown larger since it was released, and the violent fire attribute chakra in it has gradually become turbulent under the urging of the wind. It was generally stimulating, and it exploded in an instant. The scorching high temperature swept the entire battlefield. The violent wind attribute chakra seemed to tear the body of everyone on the opposite side. Nani, this kind of ninjutsu can still be thrown. At the moment when the spiral Maru Shuriken was separated from Chen's hands, the Konoha ninjas who saw this scene were heartbroken. The power of the spiral Maru Shuriken just now they have learned from Naruto that no matter what it is, it can be completely destroyed. If it is pulled into the attack range of the spiral Maru Shuriken, it will definitely be twisted to pieces. Slug, hurry up and wrap everyone, hurry. At the moment Chen's shuriken let go, Tsunade ordered the psychic beast toad to wrap everyone in the range in its body, and finished seeing everything. Tsunade looked at Naruto, who was the first to bear the brunt, and hurriedly shouted, Naruto, get out of there immediately. Bang bang. With 2 muffled sounds, the long-standing fire attribute chakra, like a bursting dam, further expanded rapidly. When I was young, 2 spiral pill shurikens were used as dots, and the surrounding area was instantly transformed into the sea of fire, coupled with the icy wind, instantly formed a whirlwind of fire, and the scope continued to expand. The entire Konoha village, in today's view, whether it is the streets, houses, trees, flowers, and even the sky, seems to be burning. The smoke of gunpowder is everywhere, and at this moment, in Chen's dark eyes, there seems to be light, but the light is not because Chen has rekindled his feelings for this village. The light in his eyes is just the reflection of this fire. Quick, all water ninjas, hurry up and deal with them, my slugs are about to disappear, ahem. Tsunade got up from the ruins, looked at the sea of fire in front of him, and ordered through the slugs. After a while, I saw that some of the ninjas escaped from the slugs one after another. Before they could be surprised, they heard Tsunade's instructions, and they didn't dare to delay. Consuming the few chakras in the body to clean up the fire at the scene. Uchiha Chen, you were originally from Konoha. Could it be that you hate Konoha so much, don't you have any feelings for Konoha? Don't you have any nostalgia for the village where you were born and grew up? How could you do this to Konoha? At this point, Tsunade's appearance has changed, and her hair has slowly turned white, and from a middle-aged woman, it has slowly begun to age, and her smooth face has become dry and covered with the wrinkles, but the leanness in his brows did not disappear at all. He glared at Chen Uchiha and asked. His voice was full of old age and powerlessness, and he was completely different from the heroic fifth-generation Hokage Tsunade Haim. In order to protect the Konoha ninjas from harm, he scattered all his chakras to each split slug, and let the slugs protect the Konoha ninjas. Tsunade, who was exhausted by chakra, even the chakra that maintains his physical appearance is gone. Emotions. Nostalgia. My heart died on the day the family was exterminated, and all my feelings and nostalgia began to disappear from the moment my parents fell. From the moment Konoha's top management made a decision, I should have thought that there would be such a point. Don't talk nonsense. If you have the ability, just use it. Chen was dismissive of Tsunade's plausible words. Tsunade seemed to be talking about something, but because of the excessive use of chakra, he passed out, and the slugs that had just attached to everyone also slowly melted away, and spit out all the ninjas in Konoha village, but the slugs themselves also looks very weak. Mr. Kakashi, are you okay? After Naruto was spit out by the slug, he found that Kakashi was also spit out by the slug in the same way. He was kneeling on the ground tiredly, and Naruto hurried to Kakashi. Beside him, he asked worriedly. Drink tilde I'm fine, I was protected by Tsunade-sama's slug. Kakashi gasped violently, his body rising and falling with his breathing, and he said slightly tired. Damn tilde why is this? Why did Chen become like this? Why did you attack our village? Why did you do this? Why is this? At this time, Naruto's heart was already beyond description. Naruto. 5 generations of adults. When Kakashi was about to comfort Naruto, a voice caught the attention of the two of them, and after looking around, they found Tsunade surrounded by several Anbu. Grandma Tsunade. It turned out that after the Anbu was spit out by the slug, they saw Tsunade, who was now old because of the exhaustion of chakra, was questioning Uchiha Chen, but because he couldn't hold on any longer, he passed out in a coma. Those Anbu members were startled, and they didn't care about anything else, and instantly appeared beside Tsunade. Actually, it's because I gave all the chakra to the slug-sama and protected the ninjas in the village, so. Seeing Tsunade's appearance, the Anbu members present were all shocked, and after a second thought know why. Quick, bring Tsunade-sama to the medical department. You must not let Hokage-sama make any mistakes, and the rest, do your best to intercept the 9 tails. Anbu, who looked like the captain, made a decisive decision and immediately drew up a mission, their original mission. It was to protect the safety of Hokage, but now, in order to protect them, Tsunade has become like this. They all feel self-blame, and they are also full of gratitude and respect for Tsunade. I see. Anbu, who was holding Tsunade, replied, without any more words. He directly picked up Tsunade and retreated to the rear, while the rest of Anbu stayed on the battlefield to defend against powerful enemies. Chapter 207, Ino. At this time, the sky above Konoha village was filled with gunpowder smoke. This day was undoubtedly a disaster for Konoha village. They underestimated the strength of Uchiha Chen, and underestimated the destructive power of the 9 tails. They did not expect that the disaster caused by the combination of the two would be even worse than that of the 9 tails rebellion more than 10 years ago. All the ninjas in Konoha village, besides those who have gone out to perform missions, almost all have gathered here to resist the attack of the 9 tails, but the result is heavy casualties, even the 5th generation Hokage Thousand Hands Tsunade forcing chakra exhausted into a coma, and the ninjas who stayed at the scene were also hit hard. They have tried their best to attack the 9 tails again, but now it seems that the 9 tails are unscathed. On the other hand, they are already exhausted, and even the chakra is exhausted. They couldn't help but feel a sense of despair in their hearts. The village. Is it really going to be destroyed? Senior, are you okay? Yamato Tianzang also came to Kakashi's side at this time, but asked heartily. I'm fine, it's just that chakra consumes too much, but... Kakashi shook his head, indicating that he was fine, then looked at Kyuubi and Uchiha Chen on his head, with a worried look in his eyes. The situation is very bad, we must find a way to stop him. What should I do? Damn it, Akai has a mission at this time, otherwise, with his 8th-door Dunjia, plus my divine might, he may still be able to fight. Quote. Damn, why did Chen become like this? I must ask him to find out. Naruto Immortal on the side did not have the patience to follow Kakashi's thoughts. He just wanted to figure out why Chen did this, before Chen told some secrets of the shop. He hadn't been there yet, so he didn't know what was the motive of Chen's attack on Konoha. He was a stubborn person from the beginning, he did what he thought of, and rushed towards Chen alone. It was too late for Kakashi and Yamato to stop him. And Chen, after throwing out the 2 spiral pill shuriken, did not continue to do it, but sneered at the result of his spiral pill shuriken, and felt a little comfort in his heart. Isn't this level enough to bear? It seems that Konoha is indeed rotten. Uchiha clan, Shiroya, Sannin, these ninjas who have made great contributions to Konoha, have been buried by you one by one. Yi's combat power is not even comparable to Union Village. Humph. And just when Chen whispered to himself, he suddenly found that a figure was rushing towards him at an extremely fast speed. Chen looked closely and found that it turned out to be Naruto Uzumaki, and he couldn't help showing a playful smile. Naruto, you dare to come alone, it looks like it's coming at me, but I want to see what tricks you can come up with. As soon as Naruto's brain became hot, he rushed towards Chen alone, and quickly formed a seal when he was halfway there, and suddenly pressed his palm to the ground when he came to Juwei. Boom! A cloud of smoke appeared out of thin air, and then drifted away with the wind, and a behemoth appeared in front of Juwei. At this time, there was a huge toad, but from the perspective of body size, it was almost comparable to the 9 tails. It was covered with a short sleeve, a long knife hung around the waist, and a cigarette stick was dangling from its big mouth. This is Naruto's psychic beast, Toad Wentai, who is also Naruto's boss. At this time, Wentai had just appeared on the stage and had not figured out the situation. He was squinting at the 9-tailed demon fox in front of him, because the 9-tailed his entire body was wrapped in gray-white Susanoo armor, making him unable to recognize it for a while. Seeing the 9 tails swaying behind the 9 tails, Toad Wentai was startled, and the pipe in his mouth almost fell. He had obviously guessed the identity of the monster in front of him, and exclaimed, "This guy is 9 tails. Hey, Naruto, tell me what's going on. Also, where is this place? Boss, this is Konoha." Chen controlled the 9 tails to attack the village. I have to stop him, I want you to help me. Huh, are you kidding me? You want to be the opponent of the 9 tails. I know the power of the 9 tails better than you. That's not something that Yue can compare with. Back then, in order to seal him, the 4th generation lost his own life. If it is with the 4th generation, I may be able to fight, but you. There is no chance of winning at all. Why should I provoke it? We should retreat before he attacks us. No, I will not retreat. I will never allow anyone to hurt the village. Even if this person is my friend, I will not forgive. Hey, what a troublesome brat. Seeing these two guys talking like this, Chen really couldn't stand it anymore. Naruto is best at mouth escape, and if he continues to talk, he might say Tianliang. Chen impatiently said to Naruto, "Hey, have you two said enough? Naruto, looking at you, are you here to stop me?" Chen's words made Naruto bring his mind back to reality, and finally remembered the purpose of his trip. He couldn't help saying to Chen, "Chen, why are you doing this? Why did you do this? Why did you attack the village? You are also Konoha people." Huh, Konoha's person. Maybe it used to be, but now, since Konoha drove our Uchiha clan to a dead end, I'm no longer Konoha's person. I'm an avenger now. I'll take this, destroy the Konoha who brought all the misfortunes to our Uchiha clan. I did this. Is there something wrong? What did you say? Wasn't the Uchiha clan killed by Uchiha Itachi? Why blame the village? I will never forgive anyone who dares to hurt the village. Won't forgive. It's because of what I've done now that I hurt the village you love the most, and you won't forgive. Then for me Uchiha Chen, the Konoha who killed my parents and my entire Uchiha clan, do you still expect me to forgive? You are an idiot who has nothing from the beginning. How can you know the pain of having it and then losing it? If you hate me now and want to stop me, then take it out, do something. Naruto wanted to say something else, but Chen didn't intend to talk nonsense with him anymore. With a thought, the 9 tails under his feet received Chen's thoughts, roared and raised his front paws, and patted the toad in front of him. Bang! Toad Wen guarded Jiwei too early, and when he saw Jiwei make a move, he snorted lightly, and suddenly pulled out the long knife around his waist, placed it on top of his head, and supported Jiwei's front paws. However, the strength of the 9 tails is too great, and his hands are really numb, and he almost can't hold the handle of the knife, but in the end he gritted his teeth to block it. Humph! Chen didn't want to stand still, so he shot directly. His figure disappeared from Jiwei's head in an instant, and appeared on Wentai's stomach in the blink of an eye, punching Wentai's stomach. The powerful strange force, even a huge body like Toad Wentai couldn't bear it, and was knocked out in a painful howl. However, just when Chen was about to take another blow to clean up the opponent, a familiar voice came from a distance, causing Chen to subconsciously stop the movements in his hands, and a wry smile appeared on his face unconsciously. Chapter 208, Withered Roses. With a familiar and crisp voice reaching his ears, Chen also stopped the movement of his hands at this moment, and there seemed to be a little warmth in the cold eyes, but there was a wry smile on his face. Although the battlefield was still filled with gunpowder smoke, as Chen stopped moving, the entire Konoha battlefield seemed to be quiet in an instant. The remnants of gunpowder smoke, broken villages, ruins everywhere, and a group of ninjas ready to go, formed a strong contrast with the tranquility at this time. Chen's eyes also followed the direction of the voice and looked at the now slim girl. Ino under the moonlight, dressed in a ninja vest, is obviously no longer the soft-spoken girl in Chen's heart. The faith in protecting the village in Ino's eyes is not concealed at all, but when Chen's eyes turn around, these two there seems to be something else in the lovely eyes. Ino. Chen looked at the girl under the moonlight, muttered in his mouth, and his tense body also eased at this moment. Chen-jun, what happened to you all these years? Why did you become like this? I know that the Uchiha clan's affairs have hit you hard, but isn't there us? Don't you want to kill us with your own hands? Have all the villages that we grew up with have been destroyed? You were depressed back then, but you were kind in your heart, but now. When Ino saw the scene in front of him, he was very angry and wanted to blame Chen, but the words came to his lips. But it became another rhetoric. She knew Chen, she knew it since she was a child. He paid attention to the details of Chen's life, from classroom to after school, from cheerfulness to depression, from vitality to becoming an idiot. When Chen decided to attack Konoha, he expected the scene in front of him, but after Ino really stood in front of him and told the lines that had been repeated in Chen's mind countless times, it was still a while silent. He can ignore everyone's eyes, and he doesn't need to care about everyone's hated eyes, but he can't be ruthless towards the person in front of him, recalling the time when he pretended to be an idiot in order to avoid Danzo's strong demands. People keep their distance from themselves, but Chen always felt that he really owed too much to Ino. Many things are not as simple as what I heard. I don't want you to know too much about the Uchiha clan, and I don't want to know too much now. I hope you still have a good impression of me. As you can see, I have become the person you hate the most. The village you want to protect, I will personally tear it to pieces. Dare to forget. Chen calmed down, adjusted his emotions and looked at Ino again and said lightly. I don't believe it. I don't believe that you can be so heartless. I still believe that you are still the lively and cheerful Chenjin back then. Even if the whole village thinks you are rebellious and forbearing, I never believed that it was what you really wanted to do. What you did, from the time you were hit and became depressed, I was convinced from beginning to end that the Chenjin in my heart will definitely come back. Ino's hands gradually squeezed as his emotions changed as he spoke. Fist clenched. Stop deceiving yourself. You know that I can't look back now, and I don't even bother to look back. Chen Yi's sleeves flicked. Obviously he didn't want to be disturbed by Ino anymore. Uchiha Chen, what happened back then was only for the peace of the village and the world of ninjas. You were still young at that time, so maybe you couldn't understand it, but now don't you understand? Nara Shikahisa, after breaking away from the two beside him, he asked Chen. As Konoha's genius strategist, he also learned a little bit of the inside story about the incident back then. He had already had suspicions, but now it was just confirmed by Chen. Peace. Ha 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 ha. What a peace. You are for peace, so you forced Itachi, so that Sasuke and I must have one to join Anbu. You killed my parents for peace. You killed my Uchiha clan for peace. Today I would like to ask, is this the peace you speak of? If so, then I, Uchiha Chen, will let Konoha live in peace forever. After speaking, Chen's whole aura became frantic again, hesitating for a burst that would erupt at any time. Active volcano. Chenjin, stop it. I'm begging you. I don't want the village to suffer disasters, and I don't want you to be hurt. Just listen to my advice once, even if it's just this time. Ino was speaking, slowly moving towards Chen. Walking in the direction, it was like ignoring the violent state of Chen. Ino, come back. That guy is no longer the Chen you know. Ino is dangerous. Never approach him. That guy has murderous aura all over his body now. Ino, don't go over there. After everyone saw Ino's behavior, they were worried and stopped one by one. However, at this moment, Ino seemed to be unable to hear the words, and still walked in the direction of Chen. She seemed to have been waiting for this day for a long time. Looking forward to seeing Chen again on this day, but the situation of meeting at this time is far beyond his expectations. Looking at Ino, who was approaching him step by step, Chen's exposed breath did not change at all. It was still so violent, and the eyes of the nine-tailed demon fox beside him were still full of ill will. You give up, I won't let it go. Konoha's, no matter what you do, it won't change my decision. After listening to Chen's roar, Ino, who was walking towards her, did not stop, as if she was sure that she would never want to sell her. Get out of the way. If you get closer, don't blame me for being ruthless. Nonsense, but after Ino appeared, he somehow lost his usual indifference, and his words gradually increased. Instead of letting me watch you destroy the village with your own hands, it's better to let me die in your hands, Chen Jun. If you really can't let go of the hatred in your heart, then kill me first. I told you to get out of the way. Chen flung his sleeves, and a wind pressure instantly formed, pushing Ino, who was gradually approaching him, several feet away. Chen Jun, is it really irreversible at all? Uchiha didn't answer. Okay, I know your answer. Naga Ino, who was blown to the ground by the wind, stood up again and looked at Shang Chen. The fists of both hands had been tightened, and it seemed that he was making a very difficult decision. Then Ino released his clenched fist and stretched out his right hand. In Ino's hand, there was a rose that had already withered. The breeze blew, and the withered petals were also scattered in the air with the breeze. Isn't this a gift from Chen when I was a child? I'm sorry, I can't accompany you anymore, but I really want to keep walking with you like I did when I was a child. Chen Jun, I like you the most. Chapter 209, Ino's Choice. Battlefield were lit up by the moonlight. The rose in Ino's hand had no petals, and the withered and decayed branches seemed to be broken by the breeze beside them at any time. Ino averted his gaze from looking at the roses with only branches left, took a long sigh, and threw the withered branches in his hands in the breeze, and then changed the attitude of the previous girl, guarding the village's fortitude side, resurfaced in front of everyone. I am the ninja of Konoha Hidden Village, Yamanaka Ino. Anyone who wants to hurt the village will be my enemy. Chen looked at the rose that dissipated from Ino's hand, and listened to Ino's words, with mixed feelings in his heart, looked at Ino with complicated eyes, and said with a wry smile, really? We have come to this point after all. The only thing I have nostalgia for in Konoha is you, Ino. If possible, I really don't want to. I can understand your insistence, but please also understand my position. Although I am very unwilling, the rose will eventually wither. Ino shook his head and interrupted Chen's words, revealing a firm statement in his words. Its own position. In this case, Chen slowly closed his eyes, took a deep breath and opened them suddenly. His expression changed. The complex expression just now no longer exists. There is only indifference in his eyes, and there is no other trace. Mood. Then let me see, you. Yamanaka Ino, what can stop me? As soon as he finished speaking, Chen suddenly waved his knife and attacked Ino. He didn't want to stand still any longer. He was afraid that hesitating would shake his resolve. Take action to force yourself not to think about it. Seeing this, Jingyi felt a pain in his heart, but he didn't shake his determination at all. Chen rushed in front of Ino, and returned to Shang Ino to cut, but Ino did not dodge, but met Chen's blade with Kuwu in his hand, holding up Chen's offensive. There is no ninjutsu, and there is no secret technique of the Yamanaka family. The two are fighting with their own physical strength and weapons. Chen Yi's attack is blocked, and he immediately changes his attack, turning the streamer in his hand into a slash and sweeping towards Ino. Seeing this, Ino hurriedly bent down to dodge. The streamer in Chen's hand rubbed Ino's, and brought out a few strands of hair, which were scattered in the air. And Ino didn't sit still when he bent down. While dodging, he pushed forward with kunai's right hand and stabbed Chen's stomach. Chen didn't hesitate, and when Ino stabbed him, he instinctively turned around and avoided Ino's assassination. At the same time, the empty left hand suddenly stretched out, grabbing the wrist of Ino holding kunai. The right hand holding the knife turned the blade, and before Ino could react, he put the knife on Ino's neck. Ino's movements were stopped. 19. After a short meeting, Chen had already subdued Ino, looked at Ino with indifferent eyes, and a voice without the slightest emotion sounded in Ino's ears. Are you only capable of this? If only to this extent. I don't even have the qualifications to get serious, let alone stop me. If I make another move, I can't guarantee that I won't hurt you. While speaking, Chen suddenly exerted his strength and pushed Ino out. Then without looking at Ino again, he turned and attacked the Konoha ninja camp. At the moment when Chen's mentality changed, Juwei was not idle, and seemed to be able to feel Chen's intentions. After shouting in the sky, he once again launched an attack on the Konoha people who had suffered heavy casualties. Susanoo, Ninetales can completely ignore Konoha's attacks. Each attack can take away 1 or 2 Konoha people, and Konoha can only resist. However, after the previous consumption, their chakra it has already consumed a lot, and facing the greatly increased strength of the Ninetales is still powerless, but it is still struggling to support, but it is impossible to stop the Ninetales. Although Konoha's ninjas avoided the attack of the Ninetales, they would also find opportunities to fight back, throwing a few kunai shuriken at the Ninetales from time to time, or releasing a few ninjutsu, but these attacks were only in vain. Under Susanoo's almost perverted defense, Konoha's attack could not injure a single hair of Ninetales at all. The Konoha ninjas who were at risk under the attack of the Ninetales, Uchiha Chen joined the battle at this time, which undoubtedly made Konoha worse. Chen, who was waving a streamer, turned into a Shura, and he was deadly, constantly reaping the lives of Konoha ninjas. Wherever he went, no one was his enemy. The Konoha ninjas who came to besiege him, all of them, became his dead soul. For a time, the entire battlefield wailed, and Konoha suffered heavy casualties again. After being pushed away by Chen, Ino fell to the ground. As soon as he struggled, he saw this miserable state. His whole body seemed to be drained, and he knelt on the ground. Feet. Why? The pain in Ino's heart was unbearable, and he couldn't hold it any longer, so he couldn't help crying helplessly. After a while, Ino's expression suddenly changed, with a determination in his eyes. Then he picked up Kuwu on the ground again and stood up. Since I can't stop you, then. Ino, who had made up his mind, held kunai in his hand, and charged towards Chen who was turning his back on her, killing him in the Konoha crowd, and the kunai in his hand stabbed at the seemingly defenseless Chen. Past. And Chen seemed to be venting the depression in his heart at this time, so he didn't show the slightest mercy. He was already on the rise, suddenly aware of the killing intent behind him, and without thinking about it, he instinctively turned around. The streamer in his hand was already moving towards the murderous intent. The direction stabbed hard. As a result, he saw a familiar face appear in front of his eyes. Ling Chen was startled, and the originally indifferent eyes turned into unavoidable horror, remorse, and disbelief. The speed of Chen's stabbing knife was very fast, and it was too late to withdraw his hand, so he could only watch the streamer in his hand and pierce the chest of the person in front of him. Then let me die in your hands. Eno. Chapter 210, New Pupil Technique. Eno, it turned out to be Eno. After seeing the appearance of the person who came, Chen's pupils shrank suddenly, and there was an unbelievable look in his eyes. The violent murderous aura on his body suddenly dissipated, and his body seemed to have crashed, staring at Eno in front of him motionless. I felt a sharp pain in my heart. Well, Eno. At this moment, Chen's eyes suddenly shed a line of blood, followed by a stinging pain in his eyes, and the two kaleidoscope writing wheel eyes unexpectedly spun wildly without Chen's thoughts. A special force erupted, the heaven and earth were one, and Chen was the far point, and a special field shrouded out, covering the 30-meter space where Chen was located. In this field, there was silence and no wind. The water does not flow, and even the air seems to freeze. The drop of blood dripping from Eno to the ground suddenly stopped and was in a state of volley, but if you look closely, you will find that it is not still. Things in this field are actually still moving, whether it is in the sky, the flying gunpowder, the air, or the dripping blood, are still moving, but their speed is too slow, as if they were slowed down by 1,000 times. At this moment, the screen in the entire space turned, and the things that seemed to be stationary were actually fast at this time, more than 10,000 times faster than the slow speed before. The strange thing is that the moving trajectories of these things turned out to be regressing, that is to say, everything in this field actually regresses again at an extremely fast speed. Gunpowder smoke, wind direction, and dripping blood, even Lien Chen and Eno's movements are also quickly regressing. The streamer that pierced into Eno's body and left Eno's body, the dripping blood quickly reintegrated into Eno's wound. After that, Eno's wounds healed at a speed visible to the naked eye, and even the vest that was pierced by the streamer was restored to its original state. This is the reverse flow of time. It is not the things in the entire space that are going backwards, but time. Boom. There was a sudden roar in Chen's mind, followed by a trance, and when he came back to his senses, the scene in front of him changed dramatically, making him stunned for a moment. At this time, he just killed a Konoha ninja with the streamer in his hand, and he didn't hurt Eno at all, not even Eno, as if everything that happened just now was an illusion. What's the matter? Just now, I'm not. Looking at the familiar scene in front of him, Chen couldn't help but feel a little puzzled, and then remembered the scene that had just appeared, and looked at the streamer in his hand, but he couldn't figure out what happened for a while. At this moment, a murderous aura suddenly came from behind Chen, which made Chen feel shocked, and a familiar scene appeared in his mind. Although he didn't look at the person coming, he seemed to already know who the person was, and subconsciously exclaimed, "It's Eno." But at the moment when his body was already feeling the murderous aura, he instinctively turned around and stabbed the murderous aura with the streamer in his hand. At the moment when he turned around, a very familiar face suddenly appeared in his line of sight. It's Eno. Chen was startled. Lu Guang, who had already shot, stabbed Eno with a sharp knife. Chen was too late to withdraw. If nothing happened, in the next moment, Chen Zhang watched as Eno was stabbed by himself. The streamer stabbed, repeating the scene that appeared in his mind before. Between the electric light and flint, Chen's left eye suddenly turned wildly, and a special force erupted. With Chen's location as the center, it enveloped an area of more than 10 meters in a radius. Everything actually solidified. The gunpowder, the air, and even Eno, who was attacked by Shangchen, were all in a still state. At this time, the tip of the streamer's knife in Chen's hand had already stabbed into Eno's vest, and he only needed to move forward a little to stab into Eno's body. Fortunately, at this moment, Ino didn't know why, but stopped. After the momentum, the whole person froze. This is. Although Chen was very puzzled by the current situation, he didn't care so much. Without the slightest hesitation, he hurriedly retracted the streamer in his hand. It seems that everything in this space is in a static state due to some restrictions, but Chen is not affected by the restrictions. Ding! Congratulations to the host, you have awakened the ability of the kaleidoscope to write round eyes. Just when Chen was puzzled, the voice of the system suddenly sounded in his mind. The ability of the kaleidoscope. You mean that I awakened the ability of the kaleidoscope on my own? Isn't my kaleidoscope's ability already set to read on the moon and Amaterasu? After hearing the system's answer, Chen was still a little confused. Not to mention what ability he has awakened, his ability has been defaulted to Yudu and Amaterasu by the system when he first exchanged for the kaleidoscope shaker, but now he says he has awakened the ability of the kaleidoscope shaker. Make him wonder. Answer to the host. Under the system's explanation, Chen finally understood what was going on. Kaleidoscope Sharingan is a super strong bloodline limit in the original work, comparable to the existence of a plugin, and every ability can be called heaven-defying. In the original work, there has never been a pair of writing wheels with the same ability. Even a brother has never seen the original kaleidoscope writing wheel that he exchanged as a finished product and was not opened by himself, so the ability is the default month of the system. Reading and Amaterasu are equivalent to transplanting other people's eyes, which can be used by anyone. But Chen himself is a member of the Uchiha family, and has the blood of the Uchiha family. Every Uchiha family member has the qualification to open the kaleidoscope and master the kaleidoscope. In short, it is Urchin's kaleidoscope. It is exchanged, and it does not belong to the eyes that he opened. Although he can perform the two pupil techniques set by the system, Moon Reading and Amaterasu, but it does not belong to his pupil technique, so he is qualified to open the kaleidoscope writing wheel eye. Still, as long as the conditions for opening the kaleidoscope shaker eye are met, then he will be able to open the kaleidoscope shaker eye like other Uchiha clan members, and comprehend his own pupil technique. I'm sorry, Carvin, but I finally got it out. I don't know if you understand it. In fact, Ino was killed by Chen, but not yet. The reason is related to the protagonist's newly awakened kaleidoscope ability. I've figured it out, but I'll explain it in the next chapter. Chapter 211, Kaleidoscope's New Abilities. The writing wheel eye is actually produced by blood and power, which is why the Uchiha clan can open the writing wheel eye when their heart is stimulated, and the kaleidoscope, as an advanced mode of the writing wheel eye, is in the open eye. Time naturally appeals to the deepest desire in the heart of the eye opener, and then produces different abilities, which is why the Sharingan is called the pupil of soul portrayal. Whether it's because of Makoto, Fuyu, or because of the strong system, Chen's path is destined to part ways with Konoha village. Konoha, for his own peace and interests, can go to war with other great powers, or even abandon his relationship with him. Thousands of hands co-founded Konoha's Uchiha family. For various reasons, Chen has no reason to tell Konoha any morality. However, when his own blade penetrated Ino's chest, a wave of grief and anger still burst out. Chen came to this Naruto world as an orphan. After feeling the warmth of the Makoto family and Ino, it can be said that he gradually began to forget his identity as a traveler. The Makoto family's meticulous care and the care of Ino have already don't let yourself be the same as before, treating the people around you as passers-by of life. Chen even feels that he is already a member of this world. Therefore, when Ino's blood spread to his palm along the streamer's blade, the loneliness that had been suppressed deep in his heart finally burst out. Makoto and Fuyu have left him with Uchiha's extermination. But now, after feeling the temperature of Ino's blood, the unacceptable status quo caused his kaleidoscope to follow with grief and anger, which inspired his own pupil technique. Obito witnessed Lin's death at the time, his heart collapsed and he resented the world, and he wanted to escape from this world. Therefore, his left eye had the magical power to tear the world apart, and his right eye was the blindness that escaped this world. Because Shisui wanted to stop the rebellion of the Uchiha clan, and because he had nothing to do, he hoped to hypnotize everything, so his pupil technique was the Beyond God, who unknowingly manipulated the enemy. Uchiha Itachi was faced with the choice of the village and the clan. He was desperate for power in desperation, so he gave birth to Amaterasu, the strongest physical attack. After learning that it was impossible to save the Uchiha family by relying on his own strength, he tried hard to change both sides, so that all the Yudu, controlled by the caster also appeared in his left eye. However, in Chen's eyes, the interests of the family, and even the disputes of the great powers, obviously would not incorporate too many feelings for him. However, when the people he cherishes are dying in front of him, he really doesn't want to see them again. It turned out that the parents of that world fell in front of him because of a car accident, which made him become depressed and withdrawn. Just when he felt the warmth of his family again, he faced Uchiha's annihilation, and Makoto and Fuyu also left him. He didn't want to hurt Ino, and he longed to change the established fact in front of him, so he got the ability to change his life against the sky, that is, the pupil technique that controls the time around him. When he felt the temperature of Ino's blood, this was the only cry in Chenzai's heart. With the cry from the depths of Chen's heart, the kaleidoscope pupil technique that belongs to Chen also arises spontaneously. And it is also known as the strongest series of law-like pupil surgery. With the mechanical voice of the system in his mind, Chen also slowly began to understand the ability of his pupil technique. The host's kaleidoscope writing wheel eye ability is turned on, and the left eye casts a field with a diameter of 30 meters. All objects in the field, including people, and even the speed of airflow, are in the master's control, and can use the field. The speed of all substances in the body slows down to 1,000 times the speed, and the host himself is not affected by the ninjutsu. The right eye can make the time within the range free from the constraints of the law. When this pupil technique is used, the time in the field is reversed. In view of the ability of this pupil technique is too high against the sky, the chakra consumed for every 1 second of reversal is set to the amount of chakra consumed by releasing an A-level ninjutsu, and the effective location is limited to the area where the left eye is cast. Quote. The system information merged into Chen's mind almost instantly. Chen, who was originally sad and lost because of Ino's sudden behavior, now has the urge to burst into laughter, although Chen did not cry. The law of time, I didn't expect it to be the law of time. It can not only slow down the time in the field thousands of times, but the ability of the right eye can turn back time. It's really timely, otherwise Ino may really. Chen breathed a sigh of relief in his heart. However, before Chen was relieved for a while, the headache came again. Chen Shin's pupil technique dictated that he had once again returned to the state of stabbing himself with Kuwu. It's just, when Chen saw Ino, who had been slowed down countless times at this moment, the depths of his heart trembled again, thinking of the state when he felt the temperature of Ino's blood just now, and looking at Ino's expression at this time, Chen could without hesitation, he concluded that the sadness that Ino showed was much more than his own. Ino's decision was not to attack himself. Because, on Ino's tearful face, it was not the aura that an attacker should have at all, but the grief that only a farewell person would have. Chen looked at Ino with complicated eyes, and finally sighed helplessly. When he came to Ino, his thoughts moved, and the entire field fell apart in an instant, and the time in the field returned to normal, and Ino's momentum at this time, without the restraint of time, she stabbed towards Chen unabated, and the scene she saw before was that Chen instinctively stabbed her with a knife, and now I don't know what happened. The scene I just saw has changed. Liao Chen was standing in front of her without any precautions, if he didn't lose his momentum, or if Chen didn't dodge. The kunai in his hand would stab Chen's body, which was not the result she wanted. Chapter 212. The Art of Puppets. Kunai was getting closer and closer, and Chen even saw clearly that the expression on Ino's face gradually changed to panic, and there was a smile in his heart. At the moment when Ino's kunai appeared, Chen suddenly stretched out his right hand, grabbed Ino's wrist with lightning speed, stopped Ino's castration, and the kunai in Ino's hand was no longer difficult to enter. Chen suddenly pulled, and Ino was pulled by an irresistible force and slammed into Chen's arms. Before she could react, she was already tightly hugged by Chen. I'm sorry. Hearing the whispers from Chen, Ino was stunned for a moment, but before she had time to speak, Chen disappeared in place in an instant. Looking at the empty eyes, Ino couldn't help sitting on the ground, covering his face and crying. At this time, Chen's figure had once again appeared on Juwei's head, and because of Chen's arrival, Juwei stopped crushing the Konoha ninjas and screamed in the sky, his cold bloodthirsty eyes still the Konoha crowd staring at the bottom of the ground, ready to continue to attack at any time. Kyuubi's stoppage also allowed the ninjas on Konoha's side to breathe. Unintentionally, he breathed a sigh of relief, but he didn't dare to take it lightly. Uchiha Chen, what is your purpose? Do you really want to kill all Konoha people and destroy this village where you grew up with your own hands? Konoha village was founded by the ancestors of the Uchiha clan. Don't you deny the merits of the ancestors of the Uchiha clan by doing this? Kakashi stepped forward and asked Chen after taking a breath, but his words were full of grief. I have this idea. As for my purpose, I have made it very clear before, and I don't want to say it again. As you said, this village was jointly founded by the ancestors of our Uchiha clan. But this village has caused us Uchiha to suffer too much oppression. Now I destroy this village that once oppressed Uchiha, and the ancestors of Uchiha will only feel relieved, so put away your face. What you should do now is to pray that you can survive the nine-tailed attack. Chen sneered and sneered. Does it really have to be done? Humph. Chen snorted softly, too lazy to answer. In the terrified eyes of the Konoha crowd, the nine tails screamed, and a dark purple chakra ball condensed in the mouth again, making the Konoha ninjas heartbroken, and they felt a deep despair in their hearts. Oops. Most of us are already exhausted, and it's impossible to escape. Could it be that the village really can only fight for a fight? Kakashi felt the pressure brought by the tail of the beast cannon. In Kakashi's heart surprised, the kaleidoscope writing wheel stared at the tailed beast jade condensed by the nine tails, and seemed to intend to use divine power to absorb the tailed beast jade, but the tailed beast jade was too large, and even he himself was not sure. But he had to give it a try no matter what. Even if he would run out of chakra and die because of it, he gritted his teeth and insisted. However, when Kakashi hadn't activated his divine power, someone had already started one step ahead of him, and it was Yamato Tenzo standing beside him. I saw that Yamato rushed towards the nine tails under the astonished eyes of everyone in Konoha, and quickly formed the seal. Wood done. The technique of the wooden man. As soon as Yamato's voice fell, the earth roared, and a giant formed of wooden scorpions rose from the ground, with a grim face and majesty, but his body was several times smaller than Juwei, but still strictly guarded in front of Juwei. It turned out to be the wooden man's technique of the first generation of adults. We are saved. That's right, I heard that this is one of the most powerful moves in the first generation of adults' wooden escapes. I didn't expect to see the powerful ninjutsu of the first generation of adults in my lifetime. Looking at the majestic wooden figurine, the Konoha ninjas who were already desperate, couldn't help showing happy smiles on their faces, and they were all cheering, not as sad as before. Good job. I didn't expect Yamato to master such a powerful ninjutsu, but Kakashi didn't worry as much as the other ninjas in Konoha, because the wooden figurines created by Yamato were too small and their size was too small. It is only a little bigger than the tailed beast jade. Can such a wooden man really block the incomparably powerful tailed beast jade? Kakashi couldn't help but feel a little worried. Oh, it turned out to be the technique of the wooden man. Can Yamato Tianzang actually know this ninjutsu? It doesn't seem to have been mentioned in the original book. This guy really shouldn't be underestimated, but it is far worse than the original wooden man technique. It's gone. Chen was really surprised to see that Yamato Tianzang actually used the wooden figurine technique in the wooden dungeon, but he recovered quickly. You must know that the wooden figurines created by the first generation can be compared to the nine tails in size, and the wooden dungeon is a high-level ninjutsu. It uses a huge chakra to create a huge wooden arhat, which is extremely powerful. Senju Hasuma used this technique to defeat Madara Uchiha's Susanoo. The first Hokage used this to defeat Madara Uchiha, who had a kaleidoscope writing wheel. The power is comparable to that of Susanoo. The power is incomparable, and Chisho Hasuma uses this technique to fight with Kudos, who is controlled by Madara, and Susanoo, the complete body. With his bare hands, he catches Susanoo, which is enough to split the mountain, and he can directly slash it. Catching the tailed beast jade and knocking it back is one of the strongest ninjutsu techniques in Mudun. It's a pity that although Yamato has mastered the wooden dung, his wooden dung is 108,000 miles away from the original wooden dung. Although he can release the wooden figurine, no matter in terms of size or strength, it is impossible to match the original. The wooden figurines are comparable, but at the moment, perhaps only Yamato's wooden figurines can compete with the tailed beast jade. There was a vague hope in the eyes of everyone in Konoha. Humph! Do you want to use the technique of the wooden man to resist the nine-tailed beast cannon? Then try it. Chen's face couldn't help but put a playful smile on his face, as if he wanted to know, Yamato's wooden man, can you stop the tailed beast cannon fired by the nine tails? Kyuubi, kill it. After the nine tails were ready, with the order of Chen, the nine tails received the order of Chen, and the tailed beast cannon in the mouth suddenly sprayed out from the mouth, attacking Konoha with the power of destroying the sky and destroying the earth. Direction. Chapter 213, Yamato Tianzang. Chen stood alone above the nine tails, coldly looking at the wooden figurine transformed by Yamato Mudden, showing a touch of sarcasm. Oh, the technique of wooden figurines, compared with Chinsho Zujian, is really an insult to this technique. Looking at the oncoming tail beast cannon, Yamato, who was on top of the wooden man's head, was shocked. Nine tails. The tail beast cannon has reached such a level that the tail beast cannon has not yet approached, so there is such a thing. Coercion. If you insist on going on, I'm afraid. Alas, that's all. The nine-tailed beast jade was close to the wooden man while Yamato was thinking about it. Yamato Tianzang gritted his teeth, and his hands instantly formed a seal. Countless vines erupted from the wooden man, and they blasted towards the tailed beast. Although it is far from the Chinshujujian of the past, in the eyes of the Konoha people, it still gives them hope. After all, it is no exaggeration to say that the generation of Hokage is the god in their hearts. However, Yamato Tianzang, who faced the tailed beast cannon, was already miserable at this moment. Although the rattan shot out of the wooden figurines does not seem to be weak, even if it does visually block the tailed beast cannon from flying, it is destroyed by a powerful force at the moment of contact with the tailed beast cannon. Instantly turned into dust, the rattan that was continuously extending from the wooden man was just a desperate fight by Yamato, who spared no effort in wasting chakra. Sure enough, the technique of the wooden man is worthy of being one of the strongest killing moves of the first Hokage, and it can even block the tailed beast cannon of that high-density chakra. That's right, it seems that we are saved this time. But just as Konoha's group of ignorant people were chattering, the rattan that was shot from the wooden man to block the tailed beast cannon was gradually becoming thinner and thinner, and the tailed beast cannon, which had been stagnant for a while, was once again going towards the wooden man. The speed is getting faster and faster. Yamato Tianzang saw that the situation was not good, and randomly untied the handprints he held in his hands. With Yamato's movements, the rattan that seemed to spread endlessly on the wooden man's art also stopped abruptly, and Yamato reunited with both palms. I saw that the wooden man under his feet was like a psychic, and he also made the same gesture as Yamato Tenzo. Senior Kakashi, I heard you say that ninjas who don't follow the rules are garbage, but they don't respect their companions. People are not even as good as garbage, and I am now the last excellent ninja I can barely count. Quote. Yamato Tianzang Nanan recalled the words he once said in Kakashi's mouth. Then, the wooden man suddenly moved his feet and headed straight for the oncoming tail beast cannon. Yamato, you will die like this. Retreat first. Kakashi immediately felt bad when he saw Yamato's actions, and hurriedly shouted. Hearing the shouting from behind, Yamato, who has always been unsmiling, turned the corner of his mouth slightly. Senior Kakashi, I'll take care of you on Naruto's side. Yamato said in his heart. Oh, back then, the Chinshozujian was able to directly grasp the tailed beast jade in his hand with the strength of the wooden figurine technique. I'm also curious as to how far you can achieve with the wooden figurine technique of Yamato Tianzang. Uchiha Chen, who was standing above Susa, brought a touch of banter. I saw the wooden figure at Yamato's feet following Yamato's movements, and I saw the wooden figure at Yamato's feet suddenly stretched out his hands following Yamato's movements, and even used his body to resist the ferocious tailed beast Jade. In the original Battle of Madara Uchiha, the wooden figure created by the technique of the wooden figure of the thousand-handed pillars is very large, and can be compared with the nine tails. Holding the tailed beast Jade in the palm of your hand, it is like a spiral pill. However, the difference between Yamato's wooden man and the first generation is really different. The size is only slightly less than the volume of the tailed beast Jade, let alone the tail. The beast Jade was caught in his hands, and he couldn't even reach out his hands to hug it, and he had to use his entire body to hold it, so he could barely hold the tailed beast Jade. However, when Feng Yi touched the tailed beast Jade, a strong red light erupted instantly. Although the wooden figurine had already used his body to resist the impact of the tailed beast Jade was too ferocious. Konoha flew in the direction of Konoha, but Yamato's wooden figurine also played a role, because the tailed beast Jade, which was originally fast, has slowed down a lot than before, but Yamato is always Yamato, and it is impossible to change. Between the thousands of hands, just when everyone in Konoha was about to cheer, Yamato had reached the limit and could no longer maintain the huge chakra that the wooden man needed. The wooden man, who was regarded as a god by everyone in Konoha, could no longer be suppressing the momentum of the tailed beast Jade. Even the wooden figurine itself continued to emit blue smoke, as if the tailed beast Jade was burning, and there were cracks on the body. In the end, Yamato roared and injected the chakra of the whole body into the wooden figurine, and the man tried his last strength, and even deviated the track of the tailed beast Jade a little bit, and after doing this, the wooden figurine never again unable to hold on, it turned into ashes under the momentum of the tailed beast Jade. Humph, is this your wooden figurine technique? I thought it was just a psychic beast. It's ridiculous. Huh, no, he sneered at the sky-filled sawdust in front of him, but the next moment, Chen discovered it. Strangely, it disappeared on the top of Kyuubi's head in an instant. Cough cough. I saw that Yamato Tianzang, who suddenly appeared not far away, vomited out a mouthful of blood as soon as he appeared, and then before he could make the next move, I saw a bunch of blood coming out of his mouth. A javelin made of thunder-type chakra. This is Chidori's sharp spear. Before Yamato could turn around to find out who the thousand-bird sharp spear practitioner was, he fell to the ground and stopped moving. Actually, at the moment when the tailed beast Jade penetrated the wooden figurine's head, he used the avatar technique. However, if you want to escape death, it would be too insulting to me, Uchiha Chen. Wood done is a hidden danger after all. Since you want to stand out, then I can only destroy you first. Chen put away the Chidori sharp spear in his hand, looked at Yamato Tianzang, who fell to the ground, and said slowly. Bang! As soon as Chen's voice fell, there was a loud bang in the distance. Chen Wensheng turned back and looked in the direction of the source of the sound. The tailed beast Jade that penetrated the wooden man's head had already landed on the ground of Konoha in the distance. After a short period of tranquility, the tailed beast Jade after landing suddenly burst into the sky with red light. A huge semicircular energy mask appeared in the distant Konoha village, and a strong air pressure followed with a loud noise. Oncoming. Chen felt the pressure of the incoming wind, and for some reason, there was a sense of relief in his heart. Now, in this broken Konoha village, the family feud that has been pressing on his heart is finally at this moment, let Konoha, who is the culprit, taste the pain of loss. At this moment, if you look down at the entire Konoha village from above Konoha, you can clearly see that the ground with the center of the circle a little farther away from Chen is really collapsed, almost forming a basin. Before Yamato's efforts, although the tailed beast Jade slightly deviated from its original track, the powerful destructive power of the tailed beast Jade still made the current Konoha village dilapidated. Next, it's you. Chapter 214, Naruto Runaway. If you remove the slight salsa sound of the breeze blowing in your ears, it seems that the entire Konoha seems to be deadly silent, as if there is no air. Under the bombardment of the tailed beast Jade, the earth was completely shattered by an invisible shock, the energy of destruction spread around, and the tangible and intangible matter turned into nothingness. There was no way to resist it. Gathering and dispersing, under the dark clouds, it gives people a feeling of a pattern descending. The whole village is still filled with the chaotic and violent chakra left by the tailed beast Jade, which is extremely heart-pounding, and the ninjas who survived the aftermath of the tailed beast Jade can't help but feel extremely sad when they see the miserable situation in front of them. Does this monster really want to completely destroy Konoha to let it go? Yamato After all, Kakashi is an elite jonin and has experienced hundreds of battles, so he can still survive under the influence of the tail beast Jade, but now he feels endless grief in his heart, and the sad eyes fill his eyes, not only because of the tragic situation in the village, and because his companion died in front of his eyes again, but he couldn't do anything. He couldn't help thinking of Obito who died tragically in front of him in order to save himself, and Lin who died under his Rachel. Chen didn't pay attention to the mood of the Konoha ninjas at this time. A trace of anger flashed in his eyes, and sneered, "Next. It's up to you." However, just as Chen was about to take another shot, an extremely angry roar entered his ears. Chen subconsciously glanced at the source of the sound, and was stunned for a moment, but he instantly regained his sneering expression. "Are you angry? Tilda. It turned out to be Naruto. Originally, after the psychic came out, Toad Wentai was unable to stop Chen, but was abolished by Chen's one move. However, he himself did not take any damage, and he was still able to jump, but he was helpless in the face of the crisis in the village. I felt a deep sense of powerlessness and my own weakness. Under the bombardment of a tailed beast cannon of the pseudo-nine-tailed, Naruto's anger, unwillingness, and roar were all printed out, and Naruto could no longer suppress his emotions. "Run away." And it directly exploded the four tails, and the whole body was wrapped by the chakra of the 9 tails, forming a scarlet chakra coat. Occupied, his eyes were filled with murderous aura as he looked at the pseudo-9 tails in the distance, and roared provocatively. The pseudo-9 tails obviously cannot tolerate the small provocation of Naruto. Although it was cloned, it also has the arrogance of the strongest tailed beast. I feel the 9 that exudes a chakra familiar to it in front of me. At Naruto's provocation, the pseudo-9 tails couldn't help but let out a long roar in response. "Naruto, don't be impulsive. You are not his opponent. Calm down, Naruto." Kakashi was shocked when he saw Naruto's appearance, and it was too late to grieve, and hurriedly ran in front of Naruto to stop the rampaging Naruto, and attempted to awaken him. Because he knew that even in Naruto's current state, it could not be Uchiha Chen, or the opponent of the 9 tails summoned by Uchiha Chen. If he were tough with them, Naruto would definitely die. Yamato had just died in front of him, and he couldn't let Naruto go to death no matter what. However, it is obvious that the current Naruto has already lost his mind. He has been occupied by the negative side of the 9 tails. He has no idea who the person in front of him is. So Kakashi was tragic. His blocking was regarded as a provocation by Naruto. After a roar, he swung his claws towards him. "Oops. Naruto, stop it." In the face of Naruto's attack, Kakashi naturally wouldn't stand stupidly, but he still underestimated the speed of Naruto, who had exploded with 4 tails. It was just a dazzling look, and Naruto had already appeared in front of him and grabbed him. Kakashi's chest was awe-inspiring, with no intention of showing mercy. He originally wanted to stop Naruto, but it angered Naruto. Fortunately, Kakashi was not an ordinary person, and turned his body at a critical moment to avoid the fatal blow. At this time, Naruto seemed to have identified Kakashi, and even abandoned the pseudo-9 tails. Instead, he locked Kakashi. It seemed that he had to tear him to pieces before he was willing to give up, and Kakashi faced Naruto's attack. He could only keep dodging, evading Naruto's attack, and at the same time constantly calling Naruto again, trying to awaken Naruto's consciousness. After several attacks, they failed to catch Kakashi, which made Naruto feel angry. After a roar, a bolt of lightning suddenly shot out of the sky and hit Naruto, causing Naruto's aura to suddenly increase several times. More than that, white bones appeared out of thin air and were attached to the tailed beast's coat like a pair of armor. The 4 tails behind him suddenly increased to 6, and they were swinging irregularly, and the violent chakra shot straight into the sky. Psi tilde tilde. A voice that did not belong to human beings, like a beast, came out of Naruto's throat. Oops, there are already 6 tails. Without Yamato's wooden escape, Naruto can't be stopped at all. Seeing Naruto growing 2 more tails, feeling the terrifying aura emanating from Naruto, Kakashi was horrified. However, Naruto did not give Kakashi time to think about countermeasures. He launched an attack at the moment when his momentum skyrocketed. A palm formed by chakra stretched infinitely and grabbed Kakashi fiercely. Cassie secretly thought that something was wrong. Before Naruto's palm came to him, he jumped suddenly and avoided Naruto's attack. However, before he landed, Naruto's outstretched chakra palm unexpectedly appeared. The 9 tails formed by chakra. Before Kakashi was unable to respond, the 9 tails had already stretched out their claws and grabbed his ankle, and threw it out in a random direction. Boom! Kakashi flew out like an unloaded cannonball, smashed hard on the ground, and raised a burst of dust. This time, Kakashi was obviously unable to bear it, was seriously injured, and struggled to get off the ground. He stood up again, and finally couldn't help spitting out a mouthful of blood, dyeing the mask red. And after Naruto threw Kakashi out, he didn't kill Kakashi by chasing after the victory, but abandoned Kakashi and retargeted the pseudo-9-tailed body, because in the scene, it can make him feel in danger, only the behemoth in front of him. And the person standing on its head. Naruto once again made a provocative howl at the pseudo-9-tails and Chen. Haha, interesting. Chapter 215, Naruto 6 Tails. Chen coldly looked down at the 6 tails that were transformed by Naruto's anger, crouched down and brushed the huge head of the pseudo-9-tails with the palm of his right hand, and said softly, "Be quiet until you also deal with this guy in front of you. Stay here, look at the Konoha people, what tricks are others doing?" As soon as Chen's voice fell, he instantly disappeared above the head of the 9 tails, and appeared in front of Naruto, who burst out the 6 tails. "Naruto, I really didn't realize, when did you have such a deep bond with Yamato Tianzang, even because of him if you die and go berserk? Do you have a little understanding of hatred and pain now? A captain who took you on several missions dies, and you can go berserk like this. How should I give up my pain and hatred? You keep persuading me to stop, now you are in this state, what qualifications do you have to persuade others?" Hey, the 6-tailed Naruto didn't answer Chen's question, but felt the murderous aura from Daochen, and instinctively let out a roar, and then quickly differentiated with the slightly 9-tailed Naruto's body. Several bodies emerged from the body in an instant, and then together, the whole body became several times the size just now. Bang! The 6-tailed Naruto slammed the ground with a punch, and the entire ground in front of him was hit to the ground by a huge force. The impact force split the boulder into several pieces and flew towards Chen quickly. Chen stared at the several boulders flying in front of him, tapped his feet on the ground twice, and his body instantly detached from the ground with the elasticity. With the second force under his feet, he left the foothold again and landed on the second boulder. Under Chen's repeated jumps, he was rapidly approaching the 6-tailed Naruto not far away. Seeing that the blow failed to work, Naruto 6-tailed regained his huge body and once again transformed into a small fox with 6 tails. He crouched on the ground with his hind legs bent, suddenly opened his mouth, and quickly shot one after another from his mouth. The crimson laser went straight in the direction of Chen. Chen, who was jumping at the moment, his eyes narrowed. Judging from the speed of Lu Weiming's laser, it was obvious that Chen's current situation was unavoidable. Humph! Then a hand appeared, and a seemingly thin layer of light curtain formed instantly. PFF'd. With a few muffled sounds, all the scarlet-red lasers that were shot over landed on the light curtain. Chen, who was condescending, looked at his waist with his right hand, and pulled out the streamer star meteorite knife at his waist. With the momentum of his whereabouts, He clenched the handle of the knife with both hands and stabbed straight into the body of the six-tailed Naruto. As soon as the blade pierced for half a minute, a hot red light suddenly burst out on his body, and the violent chakra seemed to explode at the moment when the blade touched his skin. The scorching high temperature made Chen's face turn red. Even he couldn't stand such a high temperature at such a close distance. Immediately, he stepped on Naruto's shoulders with both feet, and pulled out the streamer to reopen the distance. The pained Naruto roared again. The chakra in his body became more violent, and the hot red light just now was like a ignited oil field, expanding the range more than 10 times than before. However, at this moment, the pendant on Naruto's chest suddenly emitted a soft green light, and then a green light extended from the pendant, and then dispersed into several strips of light that became longer and longer. After extending to a certain extent, it gradually becomes an entanglement and binds Naruto's six tails inside. As the sealing technique, since there is going to be trouble, I, Uchiha Chen, will give you this chance. When the six-tailed Naruto was entangled with the sealing technique, Chen rushed to Naruto again, and after approaching, he drew a knife and slashed on the pendant, and the pendant instantly shattered into pieces under the blade of the streamer. The green glow of the seal emanating from the pendant disappeared on the surface of Naruto's six-tailed as the pendant shattered. Humph, that's interesting. Looking at Naruto's six tails after the seal was broken, Chen smiled with interest and said to himself. Without the shackles of the sealing technique, the six-tailed Naruto sitting opposite Chen also calmed down, but Chen did not completely relax, no matter how the other party is now a tailed beast. Underestimating the destructive power of the tailed beast, it's not something that a person like Chen who grew up from flesh and blood would do. Come on, the speed is good. As Naruto's six-tailed began to move, Chen's expression condensed, and Naruto's six-tailed in front of him instantly disappeared in place, with the sound of breaking wind, galloping straight to Chen. Although the opponent disappeared from his field of vision, Chen Yi didn't show panic, and after searching back and forth with a pair of riding wheel eyes, he found the opponent's position in a short time. I saw Naruto's six tails slamming his fists directly towards Chen's position while moving forward. Under the coat of the tailed beast condensed by chakra, Naruto's six-tailed arms still smashed out more than 10 meters. Dodging from the oncoming fist, before Chen could stand firm, the demon fox fists transformed by chakra came one after another. Chen swung the hilt of the streamer in his right hand, a stream of chakra poured into the streamer from Chen's body, and bursts of red light appeared. All the arms of the beast were broken under the blade of the streamer and turned into nothingness. Taking advantage of Fang Kaichen's neutral position in defense, the six-tailed Naruto was still close to Chen's very close position, and the body wrapped in his tail beast coat directly punched Chen's face with a punch. The speed of the tailed beast transforming into Naruto is now far from being comparable to those of the opponents that he usually played against. Before the change, this circle of Chen is estimated to have to be resisted, but now Chen has not shown a panic again. On the contrary, it is a burst of sarcasm. The speed is indeed far beyond my imagination. Even in the original book, I knew that the speed of the six tails would be amazing, but when I was on the scene, I was still amazed by its speed, but still not enough. The moment Naruto six-tailed was approaching Chen, the three-goose jade riding wheel in Chen's eyes suddenly spun and turned into a kaleidoscope riding wheel again. A ball-line barrier that was invisible to the naked eye, with Chen as the center, opened almost directly to a diameter of several tens of meters, wrapping himself and the Naruto six tails close to him, and the fist that was slamming at him was also down. The moment began to become slow. Chen sneered, and his right hand stuck out in a grasping shape. After the chakra condensed a little, a spiral pill appeared in Chen's hand. The spiral pill was pressed directly on the chest of Naruto's six tails. Chapter 216, False Dog Cannon. When Naruto's attack was about to come, Chen directly used the ability of the kaleidoscope riding wheel eye that he had just mastered, and instantly opened the field, but the originally fast movement was unexpectedly slow in Naruto, who was covered by the field. Countless times, the action is like a turtle. Humph. There was a mocking sneer on Chen's face. A spiral pill was instantly formed in the palm of his hand, and then the spiral pill in his hand was printed on Naruto's Shang mouth without any suspense, and the time domain was released at the same time. Boom! The high-speed rotating spiral pill was printed on Naruto's tail beast coat, and there was even a trace of blue smoke. However, Naruto's tail beast coat was surprisingly defensive, and the spiral pill did not tear his tail beast coat. But he also received the impact of the spiral pill. The whole person was knocked out, and finally hit a mountain. No one moved. The defense is really strong. Even the spiral pill can't tear the tailed beast's coat, Looking at the gravel of the mountain that buried Naruto, Chen snorted, but he did not relax his vigilance because of the comet this time. Because he knew that the spiral pill just now was not able to cause damage to Naruto at all, and the strength of Naruto, who had already exploded 6 tails, was a world apart from before. Sure enough, as soon as Zaichen's voice fell, the rocky mountain that had no movement was actually blown away from the inside by a powerful force. The gravel wanted to be scattered around, and the fierce 6-tailed Naruto was instantly exposed to Zainen's sight. Naruto, who had just appeared, unexpectedly did not continue to attack, but after a long howl in the sky, he ejected countless small chakra balls from his body. One was scarlet and the other was pale blue. The 2 colors of color. I saw that Naruto was lying on the ground with his body bowed at this time, and those chakras kept gathering in front of him, gradually forming a dark purple-tailed beast jade. Because of the fight, Chen and Naruto had unknowingly left the village at this time, but their battle shocked the entire Konoha crowd. They had a deep understanding of Chen's toughness. Chen-do was evenly matched, beyond everyone's expectations. What happened this time? Please stay away from here. This is the power of the 9 tails in Naruto's body, and my clone is following Naruto, so I understand the situation. Naruto can no longer control the power of the 9 tails out of control. Tsunade channeled out to Konoha. A small splinter slug treated by the crowd explained to the confused Konoha ninjas. Nani, has the tail turned into a beast? Yamato and Kakashi should have put a seal on Naruto. What's going on? Shikamaru's father, the older pig deer butterfly Nara deer asked suspiciously. Because of Yamato's death, Naruto lost his mind, so Naruto turned into an angry tail beast, and the pendant used by Kakashi and Yamato to restrain the 9 tails has been smashed by Uchiha Chen, and there is no pendant and Yamato. Naruto has completely lost his mind. If you enter his attack range, you will definitely be targeted by him. Kakashi has already. Slug's words stopped abruptly, but the following words are already silent. Metaphor. Damn, one Uchiha Chen is enough to make us all overwhelmed, and now there is more trouble with Naruto. If this continues, Naruto may become 9 tails. Lord Slug, immediately notify everyone to evacuate quickly. Luju knew the situation, it's urgent. If you stay in place, maybe it will be affected, so I inform everyone to stay away from Naruto and Tatsu's battle range. Wait a minute, what about Naruto? Are you just watching him turn into 9 tails? Shikamaru said anxiously when he heard his father's words. After all, Naruto was his partner, so he was naturally concerned. I can't control so much now. It's like a battle between 2 monsters. We can't get involved at all. If we get close, we will definitely be affected. Now we must evacuate. We will try to save Naruto later. Damn, Shikamaru knew that what his father said was right. He had no way to refute it, and finally he could only shout angrily, and said nothing. In the end, in order not to be affected by the battle between Chen and Naruto, under the notice of Slug, Konoha's ninjas also stayed away from the battlefield and watched from a distance. On the other hand, when Naruto began to condense the tailed beast jade, Chen had already discovered it, but Chen did not immediately stop Naruto's behavior, but watched with interest. The power of the 9 tails is really amazing. It's just the power of the human pillar, and the 6 tails have such a powerful power, but it's just right. I haven't fought seriously for a long time, so I will let you use all your power. Let's see if I can have a good fight. Humph tilde. Chen snorted coldly and began to move in his hands. After all, he also had a deep understanding of the power of the tailed beast jade, even if he was not careful. You will suffer, so don't let it go. Psychic. Triple Rashomon stretched out his thumb and stroked the blade of Lu Guang lightly, then quickly formed a seal, and suddenly pressed it to the ground. In a roar and an earthquake, 3 Rashomon with hideous ghost faces burst out of the ground and rose from the ground, standing between Naruto and Chen. However, Chen also knew that it was impossible for these 3 Rashomon to block the attack of the virtual dog cannon, not to mention the virtual dog cannon fired by the 9 tails, but Chen was indeed not afraid, and he had already prepared the hard virtual dog cannon. Preparation. At the moment when Rashomon was channeled out, Naruto on the opposite side was also ready. After swallowing the tailed beast jade in front of him, his body swelled rapidly, followed by a terrifying virtual dog cannon from his mouth. The direction where Chen is located is sprayed out. The powerful coercion devoured the ground plow into a deep ditch. Wherever it went, all the matter was turned into ashes, and in the blink of an eye, the sluggish aura slammed into the Rasho gate where Chen was channeled. Chapter 217, Naruto 8 Tails. Boom! The virtual dog cannon bombarded the Rashomon in the blink of an eye. As expected, the Rashomon was in vain under the bombardment of the virtual dog cannon, collapsed with a loud noise, and turned into powder. After smashing the 3 Rashomon gates, the virtual dog cannon continued to attack Chen in the distance with a might that would destroy the world. The earth, all matter is reduced to ashes, the speed is fast, the power is terrifying, the ghosts and gods are frightened. Humph! Come on! Facing the endless coercion of the virtual dog cannon, Uchiha Chen was not afraid. With a mocking smile on his face, after putting his hands together, he ran the chakra and made a bold move. Wooden. The technique of ranking. As soon as the voice fell, a long wooden raft like a shield appeared on the ground below. A huge grimace was carved on the wooden raft, and a fresh breath of life was exuded from the shield. Bang! The virtual dog cannon, which even Mie Rashomon's super defensive ninjutsu couldn't stop, bombarded the grimace shield and exploded, forming a circular explosive light sphere with a huge range centered on the impact, forming a powerful shock wave that spreads all around. Wherever it goes, even the ground is affected by the shock wave. Countless pieces of land and trees are blown away, like an apocalyptic scene. The wood done ranking technique is capable of blocking the tailed beast jade released by the 9 tails, and the virtual dog cannon released by a mere person Zuli is naturally no problem. After resisting the virtual dog cannon, the grimace shield actually made a squeak sound. I saw that the grimace separated from the middle, revealing a groove, and the person standing in the groove was Chen. It's up to me to make a move, I hope you can persevere. Chen sneered, put his hands together in a seal, and made another move. Wooden. The tree world is coming. The roaring earth. As Chen's voice fell, countless wooden vines broke out from under Naruto's feet, growing wildly and entangled Naruto. At this time, although Naruto's consciousness was already occupied by the negative emotions of the 9 tails, he still instinctively sensed the danger signal released by the wooden cane, and wanted to escape, but the speed of the wooden cane was too fast, and the number of there were too many, so Naruto was entangled by Mutang after dodging a few times. No matter how hard he struggled, it was useless. That Mutang grew rapidly under the chakra output by Chen, and it was very tough. Naruto struggled with all his strength, but he couldn't break free. He could only make a burst of unwilling roars until it was swallowed up by the tree world. Finally, the vines stopped growing, and Naruto was swallowed up by the vines. The roaring stopped abruptly, and everything fell into tranquility. Humph! Even the 9 tails can't retreat within the attack range of this tree world, so you can stay with the tree vines quietly. After seeing Naruto being swallowed by the tree world, Chen mocked. Said. Then he ignored it, turned around and walked in the direction of Konoha, but just a few steps out of Chen gang, a dazzling red light suddenly appeared on the vine behind him, and then came a dazzling red light. The usual chakra let Chen stop, frowned, and turned to look at the position where Naruto was swallowed. Oh, can't even the arrival of the tree world restrain you? It seems that I really underestimate you. As soon as Chen's voice fell, it seemed to be in response to Chen's words. At the place where the countless vines were intertwined, a violent chakra suddenly erupted. A hideous monster head broke through the vines and extended out. He let out a roar, opened his mouth, and a fiery red flame spewed out from his mouth, burning the surrounding vines. I saw that this monster was like a fox without fur, with only muscles left, looking extremely ferocious, followed by the tail formed by 8 scarlet chakras, which also broke through the confinement of the tree vines and extended out, irregularly. Swinging, it is obvious that Naruto has exploded 8 tails, and has obtained an extremely powerful power, which seems to be able to break through the suppression of the tree world. However, at this time, Naruto was not completely free from the arrival of the tree world, only his head and tail were revealed, and the whole body was still suppressed by the arrival of the tree world, but judging from the strength of his struggle, it was only time to break the confinement. Question. At the same time, within Naruto's consciousness, a dim sewer, a huge prison door, and a vicious 9-tailed demon fox. Naruto was slumped on the stagnant water in the sewer, his eyes closed, his face full of pain. It's so painful, I don't want. I don't understand, what should I do? My mind is already in a mess. Who will help me? Naruto struggled to get up from the stagnant water, covered his head with his hands, and said to himself in pain, muttered to himself. Destroy everything. Erase the things that make you miserable too. Give me your whole heart. In that case, I will be able to free you from the pain. A voice that can deceive people's hearts, from the huge sound inside the prison door, deeply attracted Naruto, and unconsciously raised his head to look at the 9 tails inside the prison door. Immediately afterwards, Naruto's clothes were automatically undone, revealing a spiral sealing technique on his stomach, and then the spiral automatically rotated, forming a hole, and a black ink flowed out from there. The water under Naruto's feet was actually dyed black. Come here tilde. The voice of the 9 tails tempted Naruto again, but Mingran at this time obviously lost his mind, and walked to the 9 tails unprepared under the bewitching voice of the 9 tails. Come on tilde, tear off the seal for me tilde. Naruto, who came to the door of the prison, was wrapped in a scarlet chakra, and was lifted up by this chakra to the same height as the seal. Naruto whirred unconsciously, slowly reached out to grab the seal, and in the grinning laughter of the 9 tails, he was about to tear the seal off. At this moment, a figure appeared in Naruto's consciousness space, and came to Naruto's face in a flash, grabbed Naruto's wrist, stopped Naruto's actions, and took Naruto away from the prison door. And Naruto was also at this time, his eyes regained clarity, he raised his head and looked at the stranger who appeared in his consciousness space, and what caught his eye was this person's back. And what surprised Naruto was this person 5 characters were embroidered on the back of the royal robe he was wearing. 4th Hokage. Chapter 218, Wave Wind Minato. 4th Generation, Hokage. Naruto looked at the back of the white robe, and Nan read out the contents of the robe in his mouth, and when he turned around, he slowly asked, why do you appearing here? When the 9-tailed demon fox in your body has 8 tails, I will appear in front of you in this form. Naruto, although I really don't want me to meet you in this way, but I can see myself when the child grows up, it can be considered even. The white-robed man looked at Naruto and said something that made Naruto puzzled, but after his face became a little clearer, it was the 4th Hokage. Stormwater Gate, commonly known as Golden Lightning. Naruto, my name. Why do you know my name? Although Naruto guessed it, he also expressed his doubts in the process of being shocked. Because I took your name for you, didn't I just say that you were my son? Minato explained to Naruto with regret and guilt. Son, 4th generation. Naruto felt that the amount of newly received information made him a little unbearable for a while, and he struggled to protect his head with both hands. Dad. Naruto calmed down after a struggle, and called out abruptly. Before Minato could agree, Naruto raised his fist and punched Minato on Minato's chest. Then, Naruto complained, from being excluded as a child, with the hardships of cultivation, until now with the antagonistic relationship with Uchiha. Naruto didn't want to talk about the exclusion and the hardships of cultivation in the past. After all, those are all in the past, but the 2 Uchiha brothers, his childhood playmates, and his current position are what worries him the most. Attacking Chen is just a subconscious act of protecting the village. It is an obligation and responsibility to overwhelm him. It is difficult for Naruto to imagine what kind of disputes he would encounter to fight Chen like this if he had no relationship with the village. Naruto, maybe the birth of a ninja is accompanied by love and hatred. Some people fight to protect the treasure, and some people take revenge for hatred after losing the treasure. As for how to achieve mutual understanding and true peace, I believe that if it is your words will surely find the answer. In the real world, Chen didn't know what Naruto was talking to the fourth generation at this time. He originally saw that after Naruto exploded the 8 tails, his strength skyrocketed, which was several times stronger than the 6-tailed model. Become a little more serious too. The momentum looks pretty good, but I don't know if your strength is so arrogant. Chen said with a sneer, although it seemed very relaxed on the surface, but Chen did not neglect, and folded his hands to seal. Wood done. The technique of the wooden man. As soon as the words fell, a wooden man who was stronger than Yamato's wooden man rose from the ground, and his body size was even bigger than that of 9 tails. It was very different from Yamato's previous puppet. In front of the wooden figurine that came out, it was like a toy that could be crushed into pieces with one palm. Open your eyes and see, this is the real wooden man's art, and it can be compared with Susanoo's, or even stronger wooden Dun's trick. It is not comparable to the deformity created by Yamato's half-hearted wooden Dun. Quote, the ninjutsu performed by Chen is impressively the wooden man's art, which is a super powerful trick in Mu Dun. After Naruto exploded the 8 tails, he gradually approached the body of the 9 tails and became a giant beast. Chen also became serious, so the technique of the wooden man was used to counter Naruto. Crush him. As Chen's voice without any emotion sounded, the wooden man seemed to have received Chen's thoughts, and walked slowly and steadily towards Naruto Yatai, unafraid of the coercion and flames that Naruto emanated. And Naruto in the 8-tailed state roared when he saw the wooden man approaching, but because his body was suppressed by the wooden rattan at this time, he could not move, so he could only bite at the wooden man with a relatively free head. However, the seemingly bloated, slow-moving wooden figurine was unexpectedly agile. When Juwei's head was about to turn towards him, he quickly twisted his body, dodged Juwei's bite, and immediately stretched out his right arm. Kyuubi's head was stuck under his armpit, and the other hand was clenched into a fist, hitting Juwei's head continuously, making Juwei miserable. To escape, he could only make a roar of unwillingness. You must know that the power of the wooden man can suppress the 9 tails and Susa, so under the constant greeting of the wooden man, the pain suffered by the 9 tails can be imagined. Haha tilde the technique of the wooden man is really suitable to hit the 9 tails, it's the same as hitting a sun. Seeing the miserable state of the 9 tails, Chen's face not only showed a mocking smile, but secretly said, boom. Just when Chen was going to control the wooden man to work harder to get rid of Naruto Yatai turned into a cloud of smoke without warning after roaring, followed by Naruto Yatai's huge. The body actually disappeared without a trace, and only the wooden man was left looking around in a daze, not knowing what was going on. Seeing such a situation, it was beyond Chen's expectations, not only made him frown, but also relieved after thinking of a familiar scene in his mind. Oh, I actually recovered from the state of the 8 tails. Is the 4th generation Hokage. I almost forgot about you. In Chen's previous life, Chen knew that in Naruto's consciousness there was a touch of consciousness of the 4 generations of Hokage, which was left when the 4 generations of Hokage sealed the 9 tails in Naruto's body, and the purpose was to supervise Naruto and set the program. Once Naruto released the 8th tail from the seal, he would appear in Naruto's consciousness and stop Naruto. In the original work, when Pain attacked Konoha, Naruto also exploded 8 tails and broke through the suppression of the Earth-exploding star, and at that time, the 4th generation Hokage Wave Feng Minato appeared to stop Naruto, and also reinforced Naruto's seal, allowing Naruto to regain consciousness, thus defeating Tiandao Pain. The situation at this time is not the same as in the original book, except that Tiandao Pain has become Chen, but the result is still the same as forcing Naruto to explode the 8 tails, and the program set by the 4th generation has also started, and now the 8 Tails, the disappearance of Naruto, must be the masterpiece of the 4th generation. So what if you regain consciousness? Your current strength is not worth mentioning to me at all. There is no immortal mode. How can you compete with me without the power of 9 tails? Chapter 219, Uninvited. After the smoke dissipated, I saw that Naruto had regained consciousness and was standing proudly on the wooden vine that descended from the tree world. The momentum of the whole person had changed, and there was no previous confusion. Sure enough, have you regained consciousness? But, even if you regain consciousness, so what? Your current strength is not worth mentioning to me at all. There is no immortal mode, so why would you compete with me without the power of the 9 tails? I saw that Naruto first looked at Chen indifferently, then jumped in front of Chen, stared at Chen, and did not speak first. Do you have some understanding of what hatred is? If you don't understand the same pain, you can't really understand others, and even if you can understand, you may not be able to understand each other. That's the truth. It's just like your pursuit of Sasuke is futile. Forget it. I've run out of words with you, and now you can't say anything to change anything. Since you're standing in front of me now, let's make a break. Sure enough, do you still have to do it? Then there is no way. Although I know that I am not your opponent, I still want to stop you. Oh, why do you stop me? With the Spiramaru Shuriken you just learned, there is no Sage mode. Even if you learn the tricky ninjutsu like Spiramaru Shuriken, it's not perfect. I miss you. You can only cast it twice at most, and you have to be close to me to be able to function. Do you think you have a chance? Chen snorted and said indifferently, and his feet began to slowly walk towards Naruto. However, just as Chen Gang was about to attack Naruto, a figure suddenly appeared in front of Naruto, protecting Naruto behind him. The sudden appearance made Chen's eyes stunned for a moment, then he stopped sprinting, and looked at the person who had just appeared in front of him. White single ponytail, slightly fluffy hair, a loose coat commonly seen on Japanese uncles, a pair of clogs and slippers that cluck when walking, and crimson lines around the eyes, but the most conspicuous thing is that the shoulders are already with him, 2 old toads fused together. Jiraiya. Chen stared at the uncle who suddenly appeared between him and Naruto. After thinking for a while in his mind, his eyes narrowed and he said subconsciously, "Yo, it seems that I have a good name among the juniors." Jiraiya said jokingly to Chen, and then turned to look at Naruto. "Naruto, this level of battle is not good. It's too early for you. Go back to the village first, then leave it to me." Naruto was also surprised by Jiraiya's new look, but he also knew that now was not the time to be curious. Although he really wanted to refute and wanted to stay, but after seeing Jiraiya's solemn eyes, he also knew it is useless to stay here by myself, but it will drag Jiraiya, so I gritted my teeth and finally left. Jiraiya, the mad ghost who is one of the Konoha Sannin, is naturally like thunder, and has been fascinated for a long time. Looking at Naruto's departure, Chen didn't plan to stop him, but picked up on Jiraiya's previous words. He had no reason to kill Naruto. Besides, Jiraiya, who had the immortal mode in front of him, was naturally not so easy to deal with. It was a bit unrealistic to kill Naruto in front of him. Oh, after Naruto left, Jiraiya's eyes narrowed, and he put away the relaxed expression just now, and re-examined the young man in front of him. Uchiha Chen can make Union Village suffer heavy casualties. Eat it. It's too dangerous for you to lose so much. I didn't expect you to find Konoha. Not long ago, I met in the woods not far from the Konoha battlefield. Bang! With a loud noise, Konoha Ninja, who was rushing back to the village at this time, suddenly stopped and looked at the direction of Shungyuan from a distance. The originally uneasy mood gave birth to a touch of worry. That's Konoha's direction. What happened to make such a big noise? It seems that the situation in the village is not very good. I originally went to Yuying village this time to inquire about the leader of the Akatsuki organization, but I couldn't. I have collected too much useful information, and it seems that the village was attacked again when I came back this time. Originally, Jiraiya also went out to carry out the task of collecting information about the leaders of the Akatsuki organization, but after finally sneaking into Yuying village, he was not able to find out the slightest useful information from some of the little ones, but simply learned that the ninjas of Rain Shadow Village worship their leaders so much that they blindly call him God. However, at that time, Pain ran to Chen's location in order to gain the power of the Nine Tails, so that although Jiraiya tried his best to sneak into Yuying village, he failed to meet Pain, so he was not able to obtain it. Practically useful information. Zilai also looked at the gunpowder smoke rising in the direction of Konoha, and the originally unhurried speed was suddenly increased by him deliberately. He was even more restless. Spirituality. While stepping on his clogs and slippers, Jiraiya didn't forget to call out the unanimous contact frog, and then hurriedly ordered, "Go to Konoha to see what happened." Lord Jiraiya, before you summoned me, I was still in Konoha village. It was too scary. The village was divided into two halves, and at the intersection of the village, I was completely destroyed by the nine-tailed beast Jade. The ground collapsed due to the bombardment. If it wasn't for the ninja who knew how to use wooden dungeons to block it, the tailed beast Jade would probably have smashed into the center of the village, but that wooden dungeon ninja is also dead. After Liaison Frog saw Jiraiya, he replied with a lingering fear. Nine Tails. Mew done. You mean that guy from Yamato is dead? Jiraiya was a little surprised when he heard it. Although Yamato is a Shangnin, he is not comparable to a general. Besides, he can kill a man with mutton in the village. The elite Jonin, then it is not easy to come. Thinking of this, Jiraiya's footsteps can't help but speed up a bit. Yes, the one who attacked the village was a young man from the Uchiha family named Tatsuya Uchiha, and Sasuke's group. He was a companion of your disciple Naruto Uzumaki when he was at the ninja school. After calming down a little, Leah Frog began to talk to himself. Lai also told the information about Chen. Uchiha Chen came with Sasuke and a few others. They have now set up an organization called Eagle. I heard from the ninjas who ran out of the roots that Danzo was also at night. Died at the hands of Sasuke in the battle. Uchiha Chen. It turned out to be him. Damn, Konoha is in trouble. Jirai also heard the news of Danzo's death, obviously very unbelievable, but what shocked him even more was the person who attacked Konoha. It turned out to be Uchiha Chen. That Uchiha Chen is really difficult to deal with. Not only is he proficient in ninjutsu of various attributes, but also the control of chakra to a level that is unattainable for ordinary people, and the help of the Nine Tails. It does not seem like the kind of relationship between Naruto and Nine Tails. Nine Tails is simply obedient to him. Liaison Frog did not directly answer Jiraiya's question, but just reported to him the information that Jiraiya needed most at the moment. I see, I know better than you about his intelligence. After Jiraiya finished speaking, he clasped his palms together, and a transparent glimmer of light flickered in Jiraiya's palms. Lord Jiraiya, are you going to summon those two? Liaison Frog wondered. If the opponent is Uchiha Chen, it's really difficult to win in my current state. If I wait until Konoha village and Chen fight each other, with the opponent's means, it is estimated that it will be difficult for me to have the opportunity to complete the summon, so it is better now. Just ask the two adults to come out. You go first, you don't have to follow me. As soon as the voice fell, he maintained a strange posture with his palms close to each other and continued to run in the direction of Konoha. Chapter 220, The First Battle. Jiraiya. The wind in the late summer night is still wandering lazily in every corner of Konoha, but Jiraiya's entry has also made the current form on the battlefield. Depending on the emergence of new episodes, Jiraiya's strength is beyond doubt. In the immortal mode, if he knows the opponent's intelligence, he is indeed a very strong opponent. After all, the work of collecting intelligence all year round has brought too much actual combat. Chen was not too surprised by the sudden appearance of Jiraiya. Although he learned that he went to Yuying village, after Pain asked for trouble last time, he already knew that Jiraiya was going to return without success. However, Jiraiya's return time was indeed faster than he expected. It doesn't matter, the people of Konoha always like to do some crazy things for the dark and filthy village, I'm used to it. After analyzing it a little in his heart, Chen also spoke to Zilai. It seems that there is a problem with your growth direction. There is nothing to say about it. I can only obliterate you for the sake of the village. Zilai also learned about Chen's actions in the process of rushing through the woods. Because, probably also knew that the current state of affairs could not be undone by words alone. Jiraiya, if you want to stop me, I'm afraid you can't do it. Chen spoke with some mockery and sarcasm. Ha ha ha, I was actually laughed at by a kid. Zilai also squatted with an angry smile, and put his palms on the ground. After a while, Jiraiya's normal palm gradually turned into a frog with Jiraiya's laughter. The next moment, it popped out directly from the ground, and reached Chen's side at an extremely fast speed. Chen's profile. Bang! With a muffled sound, Jiraiya's foot swept directly on Chen's left arm, which was blocked by Chen. The strong impact made Chen's arm feel a little painful, but Jiraiya's sweeping leg was touching. After reaching Chen's arm, he did not advance any further. The immortal mode is really not a vegetarian. Whether it is speed or strength, it can actually make Jiraiya who is not specialized in physical skills become so good in melee combat. In the future, I think I will also get a fairy body, compared to him. The immortal mode of monthly rent makes the body of the immortal more energetic. Feeling the pain in his hand, Chen had already made a secret decision in his heart. But just as Chen secretly thought about it, a storm surged up in Jiraiya's heart. How is it possible? With just a random one-handed block, I have withstood the full blow of my immortal mode. Little Jiraiya, this kid is not easy, you have to treat it well, he feels very dangerous to me. The two old toads who were chatting when they first came out of the woods, after seeing the current situation of Konoha, also stopped making noise, and reminded with a serious face. Before the old toad finished speaking, he punched Jiraiya in the face. I want to see, who is stronger than mine in immortal mode. Before the punching fist could get close, the strong wind pressure pressed Jiraiya's face a little out of shape. Jiraiya stretched out his left hand and grabbed it on Chen's wrist. The strength that came from his hand suddenly surprised Jiraiya. Jiraiya, who had intended to grab Chen's arm, hurriedly tilted his head to avoid the punching fist. And then slightly bent his feet, and quickly opened the distance between Chen and Chen. I am in immortal mode, and I can't get the slightest advantage in close combat. And the strength I felt just now will make me feel familiar, Tsunade. After pulling away, Zilai also looked at his grasp. Chen's palm, his complexion suddenly changed. Little Jiraiya also uses oil, and the child's father is a fire escape. The three groups, who have cooperated all the year round made the mother toad say it roughly, and the other two understood it. Senfa, left and right guards. Jiraiya immediately formed a seal, and the chakras of the three attributes were instantly sprayed from the mouth of the three people. When the fire met the oil, the wind helped the fire, and once it got on it, it would stick to the body and burn, and it would be delaminated if it didn't die. Skin. Humph. I can't take advantage of the close-up, so I'm going to use long-range ninjutsu instead. No. I should say immortal. Chen faced the overwhelming fire from the oil field without showing any fear, pulling the streamer around his waist and facing the fire. Then a raptor cut the air and rushed over, and wherever it passed, the oil and fire were divided into two halves, and no one was allowed to touch it. When Chen rushed out of the sea of fire, Zilai and those two had already disappeared, and before Chen had time to search, only a sound of breaking wind came. Immortal. Super Jade Spiral Pill. Chen Wensheng hurriedly turned his head, only to see that the entire field of vision was occupied by a group of violent white chakras. Cut. It's extremely boring. Chen also was too lazy to bother, raised his fist and punched it, and the white chakra was instantly hit. It was shattered, like a bubble, and then he turned sideways, holding the streamer in his right hand and cutting directly to Jiraiya's neck. The hand raised the knife and fell, and the blade of the streamer was like a secluded wheel in the dark night, quietly crossing Jiraiya's neck, leaving only Jiraiya's shocked expression. However, the incident happened too suddenly, and even Chen himself did not react. The dignified three forbearance and immortal Jiraiya can be said to be a formidable enemy. He could not believe it if it was solved so easily. Bang! With a crisp sound, Jirai on Chen's side immediately turned into a cloud of smoke and dissipated in front of Chen's eyes. Ninja. Messy lion's hair bundle. Chen Cheng was in doubt. The restraint belts formed by the hair behind him quickly wrapped around him, instantly tying Chen Lai into a 5-flowered tie. Damn it, I knew it was going to happen. Although Chen didn't see what happened, he probably thought of the cause and effect of it. 80% of the time, when I was using the fairy method just now, while my vision was submerged, I released the hidden clone to attack myself with the Super Jade Spiral Pill, and the main body hides and waits for an opportunity, hee. It really is a fighting old fritter, and it is even more insidious than Kakashi. Before Chen could make any move, the female toad on Jiraiya's shoulder immediately sprayed a slender water column from its mouth, and the places it swept across were all torn into 2 halves by its powerful cutting force. This is it. In the original book, Jiraiya's technique to instantly kill the chameleon when he fights with the summoning system pain. If it is cut by this. Thinking of this, Chen struggled for a while, and then the hair tied to his body remained motionless. Seeing the water column swept over him, but Chen did not panic at all. His left eye opened angrily, and a wave of no barrier was released by Chen again.